We got target highlighting, like Chris mentioned, so it's a lot clearer, like what target you're shooting at. We're going to show off some of that in the combat deep dive. Altitude indicators on the compass for where your task is, so you know if you're above or below it. Quest locations and points of interest on the in-game map system. Refining skills. Over 30 new recipes and patterns, including the cool barbarian armor that Kevin made the release before. So all those different barbarian clans, the Dragon Clan, the Boar Clan, the Wolf Clan, new homes, the Watermill. If you haven't seen Watermill, it's really cool. It's got the big water wheel on the side. The log cabin, the two-story log home, the new female peasants, the new polished wolves, the wild boars, and we're making tons of progress on the physical goods, which we spent a whole live stream last week having Scotty show those off to you. So if you haven't checked out that live stream, really cool. Lots of really cool stuff. The cloth map, the manual, the box. It's all coming along. And that's just R50. R51 is also going to have a bunch of cool stuff, despite the fact that it's a short release because February, of course, is a short month. It's going to have more new user polish, more performance work, the final pieces of the Virtue Armor, so you'll finally be able to have a complete set of that. We're making lots of jokes, though, because instead of Keith, every time in stand-ups, instead of calling them like the courage leggings or the truth leggings, he keeps calling them pants. So he's like, I've been working on the pants quests, and so everybody sings like space pants. And so today, like we were talking about courage pants, and I was like, don't soil your courage pants. Oh, and finally, we're doing the new harvestable trees. So everyone, a moment of silence for the old trees. At long last. Actually, are jokingly talking about having a gravestone in Britannia Graveyard for the old tree.
And why not?
Well, we're actually probably going to do that. I mean, that's an Easter egg.
Shh. Don't tell.
Boars are going to be tameable. New bears, so we're going to upgrade the bears. So a moment of silence for the kangaroo bears, because they have this weird pouch thing, like in a big hole in their armpit. Heraldry. So I made a post yesterday in Dev Plus. It's going to go out in the weekly update. You guys are going to get to see the new Heraldry armor.
I got to see it today.
Yeah. And I've been having lots of conversations with the College of Arms. So I'm happy to say we're going to be able to use a lot of the work that those guys have done, and that's going to get incorporated into our website. So and vendor polish. I gave a little sneak peek. Talking about that in the last week's live stream, and then I just made a post in Dev Plus showing off some cash registers that you can use as your own vendor, and I also posted in that post talking about some AI behaviors that we're going to be doing that Eric Toubé has been working on. That's going to open up all sorts of cool stuff, like pets are no longer going to be statues on your lot. What?
Yeah, so that also means, one of the things I like about that too is it also means by giving those people motion. It means when you walk through town, you won't just see all the vendors lined up on the front corner of the lot. They'll actually move around. It'll look much more natural, less construed, and I think it's better in so many ways.
Yeah, they'll sit, like one of the things we want to do is like have them sit down if they don't have inventory or if they haven't been interacted with a lot. We're also going to introduce other visual variants. So there's going to be a female version of the vendor. There's going to be a different outfit. The guidance I gave Fletcher on that is to have basically an outfit based on like Victorian shopkeepers. So kind of a white apron over a black kind of dressy outfit. And of course, we sent out the invitation to our launch event. So we're opening our launch event to backers, so 100 backers, and we sent out the first round of acceptances. They haven't all gone out yet, so don't fret if you've sent in your application and haven't got it. We haven't sent all the acceptances out. So super exciting. So 7,500, we're only 2,500 away from our first stretch goals.
As a reminder,
so as a reminder, if you spend $5 today of new money, it can't be store credit, but if you spend $5, you could buy $5 of store credit. But as long as you spend $5 today, you'll get one of these cool stretch goals, like the Samba or the Mardi Gras garlands or the flambeau or the Mardi Gras mask fountain or the feather outfit or the Mardi Gras jester outfit, depending on how much we raise today. And we've got a bunch of stuff expiring. All our fall and winter stuff is going away at midnight tonight. So get it before it goes away. And let's see. Is it? I think we should do some spins again.
Ooh. Are we there? Is it time?
Close enough.
Oh,
Let's do
yeah.
it.
And oh,
Dyes, wearables, and patterns.
Oh, nice.
All right.
number 2.
Also, dies, wears, and patterns.
Nope.
Just have a rule where you go left until you hit the thing. There we go. Home decos.
Home decos. All right. And those things will be on sale. All right. And next up, we have an ONBE.
We do indeed. We do indeed. And let's see. I'm not sure she was able to get online with us today. No, I'm told.
But let's start with explaining what an ONBE is.
Let's do that. Let's do that. So, one of the things that we wanted to do early on when we realized how thankful we felt and needed and wanted to be to our community for the amazing support they've shown us. And we wanted to find a way to recognize that incredible support, that especially when it went far beyond the financial support, for which we're thankful to all of you who are able to do that. But there are others who give of their time and personal efforts in ways that either directly help the project and or help other members of the community, or help attract or provide fun, entertainment, or bonding with other members of the community itself. And sometimes people do that individually, and sometimes groups get together to provide contributions. Like we were just talking about the College of Arms. That's a group of people that often were involved in helping us with that. And so what we've done is we've borrowed a couple of ideas from old Britain, from England, and or the United Kingdom more specifically. And there is something called an OBE, the Order of the British Empire, that the Queen can choose to give out to individuals that the Queen has decided have been particularly helpful to her kingdom. And so we have an ONBE, an Order of the New Britannian Empire, that we give out to individuals who we believe help contribute to this land, whether that be the project directly, the team, or across directly to other members of the community. And just for completeness of introduction, we also have a royal warrant that we give out. I don't actually have one of those with me right now, but it's a large wooden plaque that's a royal warrant, also borrowed from British culture, is where the crown can go to usually in the United Kingdom, it's you go to a business or a group of that kind. Here is the placard for the royal warrant. And royal warrants we give out to, it could be a group like the College of Arms, it could be to a guild, it could be the folks like the Poets of the Bard Circle, who helped us help organize and quality control a lot of the music that we ultimately put into the game. But today, we're here to give out an ONBE, one of these individual merit awards. And our award today goes to Elena. And Elena, he is Elena Strongbow. He also goes by Macnlos. How do I pronounce that? Macnlos. Sorry, Macnlos, if I haven't mispronounced it, but he goes away on the forums. He's been an active and extremely positive community member for many years. He's managed the SodaTutorials.com. And by the way, if you've not been to SodaTutorials.com, it is phenomenal. It's a phenomenal place to find, how-to information in all the different sections of the game. And it's extremely well presented, by the way. And he developed the site as a service that he provides essential tools and tips for those who are getting started on their journey in Shroud of the Avatar. And as you may know from the recent community video walkthrough contest, Elena developed over 60 walkthrough videos for the contest. By the way, they are, not only is that prolific and covers the full gambit of activity that players might want to do, but they're extremely well produced and, tight in a way that I think they're going to be a great resource for all of you or all of the new people we might be bringing in. And they're now available to the game's official YouTube channel at youtube.com/Portalarium. And you can watch his live stream in the game regularly on his Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Elena Strongbow. So for Elena, thank you very much for the amazing contribution you've made to Shroud of the Avatar and the community. And we will send this to you if we don't get a chance to hand it off to you in person sometime soon.
Huzzah!
Thank you.
Yay! All right, and we just hit our first stretch goal.
Bravo!
Bean,
Bravo!
sir.
Bravo! Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank
There
you.
you
Thank
go.
you.
All right.
Now our collection is looking respectable.
Yes.
So I just noticed something.
What?
So I got last choice on the outfits and the hats. You guys are matching. This
You know,
makes me
I
look
actually didn't
bad.
realize I was matching him. And only until we sat down and saw it on the camera did I realize I actually picked the exact same top.
I'm the outsider now.
You want to
No,
switch
you're
hats?
cooler. No, we have different. We have 3 different hats.
Yeah, we all have different hats.
Well,
Just
different
so-
hats. I was talking about the outfit. Red,
Okay, well,
purple.
sorry about
gold,
that, but you know.
yeah.
All right. So thank you. All right. So $10,000. Yeah. All right. So while I'm dancing, so we were just talking about the contest that just ran. So Barrick, you can take my seat while I dance.
Thank you, Star.
And we just ran this video contest, but I think there's another contest, isn't
There is. We had just concluded the video contest. Walkthrough trailers are now on a playlist at youtube.com/spoilerlarian. We've got them on the front page. Over 200 total videos that were created.
Where 60 Elenas all submitted in that same
Yes,
bunch.
yes. So a lot of work.
Wow.
A lot of work by Elena alone. Lace and others also created a large series of videos. So some good how-to and walkthroughs there for you. But now we have a new contest that just got started for all you homeowners. We have the Magnificent Trophy Rooms contest. Revision 2018, or Revisited 2018, I should say. We had one last year. We had some really great entries, a lot of great screenshots, some really cool trophy rooms in your houses, and we want to see what you can come up with this year. So we've got that started. It's already announced on website and forums and social earlier today. We'll have it in the weekly update and everything as well, but you can get started on your trophy rooms now. And also, besides that contest that's running, we had a little fun on Facebook with the recent 20th anniversary of Pack Slayer. We wanted to celebrate with them, and we put on Facebook an old photo of their time in partying in Shroud of the Avatar, and there we had a comparison for you guys. You could check it out and play if you want still. The contest there is over, but check out what we posted. It was just a day ago, and it was a comparison of 2 of the same image with some pieces missing from the second image. I don't know what you call those events or contests or whatever it is, but in any case, you're supposed to find how many of the missing or changed items from one of the copies to the other of the copies of the screenshots. And we got some close guesses here. There were actually 14 total changes, and we had Philip, who got close, 11. Identified 11, and then PJ, Major, Michael, and Chad, who also got pretty darn close as well. So congrats to all of you. Each of you get 5 kodos. If you can, we'll contact you. We'll find you in the game, and we will get those kodos to you. So we may be doing more of those social contests in the future. So I would subscribe to our Facebook channel, our Twitter channel, our YouTube channel, and every channel that you can find in Shroud of the Avatar, including all the community ones, because the community does a lot of these sort of things too. And that's all I have, Star. Back to you.
Thank you, Barrick. And as you know, we hit our first stretch goal. Congratulations, community. Thank you very much. That means everyone who spent $5 today will get a new dance emote called the Samba. So when you're having your festival, carnival parade, or you're going to a dance party, you can show off your new dance. And that means we're now on our way to get the next one, which will be Mardi Gras Garlands at 25K. So we have 15 minutes, 10 minutes until we hit our next segment, which is going to be a deep dive about combat with Chris, Corey, and Travis. We'll do a little questions, but you have some really cool stuff that you uncovered. So as part of the physical goods, some of the some of our backers are going to get some cool stuff like your original Calibeth thing, and so as part of all this is digging through all your stuff, you found some really cool artifacts.
I did. And one actually, Scott Jones has a couple of them to be scanning actually right at this moment. So I just sent him a message trying to see if he'll bring them back to me. Oops, he just sent me a message here. Let's see if he'll bring them over. But what we found, so I am a pack rat, and I have kept literally every scrap of paper that made notes on about every page. That not only, but all of the things that go back in time, through and including my old D&D things. So I've got not only the original 3 D&D books, but for example, this little case in my D&D box, I had even things like these are all the original dice that I used for playing D&D. But a lot of us have played D&D, but I go back to 1977, the year it was published. And at that time, it was really hard to find polyhedral dice. And so these actually were some of my first original dice that I made. I had my mother help me make these actual 8-sided and 20-sided die, formed out of paper and hand and numeral.
Yeah, so if you can see,
yeah,
we can hear whatever.
We can hear your guys' slide chatter, whoever that is. But in addition,
so if you could see that, like that's not like cast plastic. That's actually like paper glued together.
Yeah, and also, this binder here is a binder of all the little D&D dungeons and campaigns that I used to sit around and write up when I was, misbehaving in various classes and drawing dungeons instead of doing whatever class I was in. And a bit of history you might know, and you'll see when you get the scans of a Calibeth that, I thought I was making up this name. It turns out there's also a chapter in the Silmarillion called a Calibeth. But if you look at the way that I spelled it in my D&D binder, which, as I mentioned, Scott Jones is scanning, it's spelled with 2 L's. And if you look at the way it's spelled in the game, it's 1 L. And so I can't even stay consistent with the things I believe I'm making up, much less plagiarizing, much less real words. But also, the word Ultima that became the name of the game, that game was not originally called Ultima. That game was originally called Ultimatum. And here is for Ultimatum. Get a little feedback there, but these are the actual design notes of the original campaign Ultimatum, which you can see that wonderful, other way around, the wonderful graphics that I drew here for the cover of Ultimatum, and that includes, all the, like there's some pictures of how different parts might look, or like there's the map for how that dungeon would have played out. And then as well as, write-ups of each of the rooms that goes inside. And this is very similar. The one you're going to get, the one the backers are going to get is the one for a Calibeth, because that was obviously the very, very beginning. I actually didn't realize I also had the one called Ultimatum, but maybe in a future time, episode 2, something will come and find an excuse to scan these and share them with you all as well.
She had a picture of a gravestones there, of a little graveyard.
Yes, that's right.
Was that like your earliest attempt at 3D perspective calculating?
Probably
was.
What it
looked like when I saw it?
Yeah, probably was. Yeah, something like that. Exactly.
Yeah.
And and this of course has all the names of all the friends who would play, and including Bulldozer, my dog. Anyway, you get the idea.
Awesome. All right. Well, we have a couple minutes, so let's answer some questions. So these are questions that folks submitted on the Telethon post or comments. So this isn't a question, but we liked it, so we're going to say it. Vladimir Bejimo, great release, freaking great release. It's all come together. Thank you.
Woohoo! We think so too.
Let's see. Browncoat Jason, the manual seems to be getting worked on. Can we get a preview of this? Yes, as we mentioned, the last live stream, so last Friday's live stream, was entirely focused on physical goods. Part of that was the manual. We also posted some pictures of the manual in progress in the Release 50 post. So there you go. Browncoat Jason, has there been any progress with the second Blade of the Avatar novel? Will there be more images from Dennis Loubet in it, like the first book? So Tracy, some of you might not know this, but his son founded a VR location-based company called The Void, and Tracy's the lead writer for that company. And they've been expanding like crazy. They've got like a deal with Disney to do a Star Wars version of it. They've got multiple other locations, including one in New York City at Madame Tussauds, and so he's been a little busy. But this summer he's going to be working on it. So we should be getting the second novel this fall. So they're going to get back working on it. And TBD on the illustrations. I'm not sure if it's going to include illustrations or not.
For the book 2?
Yeah,
I'm sure it will. We haven't formalized it, but of course, yeah, I'm sure it will.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Let's see. Kurt asks, when will you do signing of all the physical goods? And that's as soon as they're produced. Kurt asks, why have you not added magic mover slots to the add-on store? I'm like, great idea. Brown Coat Jason, will there be any special game event for launch? When UO ended, there was a huge game event. Shh. Okay, let's see. Oh well, that's crafting. I don't want to take that one. Let's see. Greg247 asks, will we one day be able to set aside a portion of our POTs as a free range area where we can raise our animals, cows, chickens, deers, etc. for habitual harvesting? Yes. So long-term plans for agriculture include animal husbandry stuff and the AI work that I was mentioning earlier, where we can. Just to rewind that a little bit, up until now, whenever a player has placed like a pet or any kind of NPC on their lot or in a player-owned town, the AI for that is locked to the owner. So what that means is any behaviors or anything associated with that AI can't run unless the owner is present. And what the tech work that's happening right now is we're breaking that. So the AI can run independent of whoever placed it. So the owner does not have to be present. Once we finish that tech, that's going to open up so many things, including things like this.
And also improve performance. And I think for those players who've been with the project for a long time, and you've heard us mention like master, somebody's master, that whole concept is going away.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Aster Cerberus, will there be another NPC submission round prior to launch? Yes. In fact, we just posted this week about Xenos and you submissions, and along with, we also posted a list of here's the towns that have been completed, here's the towns we won't be doing any NPCs for, and here's the towns that we still have yet to call for submissions. So that all went out this week. Let's see. Grape Ape asks, is the city Point West in the Verdantis region considered a PRT? No, that's actually an NPC town, and it's on our list of towns that's going to get uncloned and get its own NPCs. Let's see. Ringkur asks, will POT owners ever have the ability to upgrade to map access if they don't have it currently? Yes, when we do future episodes and add more land, we do plan on providing an opportunity for existing POT owners to relocate to the new landmass and therefore get land overland access.
Direct access.
All right, and now we're going to transition to our combat deep dive. But before we do that, let's do a couple of points of business. So reminder that all of the fall and winter items will be expiring. They're either going away completely. That's all the 2017 items. That's the 2017 Yule items, 2017 fall items. Or if they're a recurring item, that means they're going away and won't come back till next winter season. And we have some items that are currently in the store that are transitioning from regular store items to become recurring items. That's like the White Raven, the White Squirrel, the Breed Blue Fire emote. The full list is on the website. We've hit our first stretch goal, so everyone who spent $5 today is going to get the Samba emote. And we just hit another one.
Aha!
Aha!
Bravo! Bravo!
All right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right.
Hey, is that a good time also to show this off? Why not?
All right, and here you go.
Just always
Thank you.
All right, versus do a prize in the middle of the combat deep dive. Maybe Lum could do us a prize Now a little early.
So we have a Ice Nightmare mask, which is expiring, going to Dunster. A Winter Pattern Glass Floor Lamp 3-pack, going to Coeur d'Alene. A Breathe Emote 6-pack, going to Majoria 70. An Ornate Sled, going to Shimcat. And an Ornate Street Sign 6-pack, going to Dinsu. And that's your prizing for this round.
Congratulations.
Excellent, excellent. We just want to show this, also this new item by Relics by Rild. This is their new, you could call it a tapestry. It's actually, this one happens to be sewn as a shower curtain. But the main thing is it's a giant piece of cloth with, in this case, the magic sigil upon it. It is gorgeous and huge. And I'm guessing he's going to be putting these up online at some point. But this is really, really phenomenal.
Yeah, very cool. All right. Now, without further ado, it's the combat deep dive with.
Well, here, let me do a little introduction before I completely give away the floor. And you know, what's interesting about combat is that combat has evolved. Hey, look, there's the king cake and the baby. Somebody found the baby in the king cake. Excellent.
I got to throw the next party, I guess.
You do have to throw the next party. But combat is obviously one of the core aspects of any role-playing game. Yet also, there have been some strengths and weaknesses of the combat systems that we've put in our previous games. If you look back at Ultimas, I would argue that Ultimas were often very strong in story and frankly relatively weak on combat compared to some of our competitors. But there was an aspect of it that I believed in then and I believe in now that has sort of been my charge to the team to try to reach. And part of that is to not make it overly complex. And what I mean by complex is going, I think I was kind of spoiled by my early introduction to D&D where they used to have 8 or 12 fundamental attributes, including constitution and charisma, and these kind of subtle things that you very rarely rolled against. And in the case of a computer game, you realize that if something's very rarely rolled against or never rolled against, it's obviously useless to have. And so I became a strict minimalist when it came to fundamental attributes, so that you could only have to manage and grow a limited list of things that were commonly used, frequently used, and also kind of clearly understandable about what difference they made in your progression in the game. That we've kept because I think that was a good foundation. But something that I think role-playing games and MMOs have suffered from in recent years is sort of the min-max budget button mashing. Where pretty much everybody learns that if you're trying to do your most damage over time and absorb the most damage over time with your armor instead of your body, there's an optimal loadout and there's sort of an optimal combination of you go through this series of buffs before you start, and then while you still have some mana remaining or focus in our case, you fire off these long distance bits of magic and then you finally get down to hand to hand. But there's sort of this pattern you get into that is always the optimal solution. And we really wanted to change that. We wanted to make sure that as opposed to just going through the mindless, repetitive button mashing, we tried to make it more tactically and strategically interesting for the player, to where they really had to think about the monster they were fighting, because that would substantially change the nature of the combat or how to do the combat well. That even during a combat, monsters would change their strategy, which means you would have to respond to that and change your response to that strategy. And similarly, when you're doing PvP, which is almost always much harder to balance and important to get right, to make sure that we had good rock paper scissors mentality, to where depending on exactly who you're fighting and exactly how they're loaded out, you might have to respond with a different loadout and a different strategy in order to defeat them, which of course they could respond to by again then making a similar modification, and thus the complexity should become more apparent. And I think these guys have done a great job with that. I mean, it's to be frank, you and your team have done better than I know I have been done independently in the past. I think it has really come together well, and it's now hitting a really good stride. And I hope you guys will tell everybody about both the long-term goals and the recent changes. So I give the floor back to you.
Yep, and because we are a community game, another thing that's important to note is a lot of the reason it's coming together is because We try something, we give it to the players, they give us feedback, and also just constant feedback and talking with the players. A lot of the ideas that are actually in there are player ideas. I can't even count how many times I've had players suggest something and immediately either put that in the game or some altered version of that, or it inspired me for something else. So versus a game developed completely in the dark, we've had a lot of back and forth with players.
So,
all right, are we do we have a good setup here?
Yeah, we're prepping here
Okay.
to get.
I got an hour's worth of stuff to talk about by myself, so you guys can do whatever you want to.
Well, great.
Sneaky Pete, I'm going to answer a few questions first, then I'm going to go over and hit some of the beginner stuff. Sneaky Pete, is there a chance we can get flashing buff, debuff icons under the nameplate, target names, so we have a better idea when to refresh them? And this is actually pretty common in many games that, the icon, the buff, as it's getting close to winding down, will start flashing. I think that's good just for attracting the eye.
And if you got like a crit, like, oh, you can do the theory feedback or things like that. The requirement is met.
Yeah, and that's also the for doing reactionary skills. For those who don't know, a lot of the skills are kind of reactionary now, including some of the defensive skills. But for instance, like a riposte, getting a parry and then using a riposte gives you a big bonus if you do it. But it doesn't really give you good feedback on the bar. I think that's another one we need to add that. And actually, that was one Kane Darkmoor was asking about. Right there, see? Let's see. I've got a lot of stuff, or a lot of questions I can answer here that I've already got the answer for, but we're getting close. Here we go.
I just loaded in, yeah. So what we wanted to show, based upon what we got some feedback last time, well, the feedback was that maybe we went too deep and didn't go shallow enough. So we're going to try to go shallow and then deep here. And so part of that is the very beginning, right? Being a new adventurer in New Britannia. Actually, if you could see my name, I'm in multiplayer right now. I am a visitor. So visitors are what we call our free trial accounts. One of the changes that we made recently was allowing the visitors to go on any path they want. So courage, love, truth. I'm currently on the courage path in the Highvale outskirts.
And just to derail you a little bit, I'll go ahead and point out the visitor. If you're on the trial, the difference between the trial and the full version is the trial does have some skills. You're limited to how high you can get on skills. You can group with other players, but you can't trade with them. They can give you things, but you can't give them things. Same thing, you can't purchase from vendors, which are the player merchants, where the players can put up stuff on their own merchants for sale. And all that is largely to dissuade people who want to try hacking the game from just using those accounts and making it how they exchange things between accounts.
So being in the outskirts, the outskirts, there are 3 of them, 1 for each path, and it's where you go after the beginning scene. And actually, they're awesome. I know that Travis has worked on them before. Oh yes, thank you. Cast light for me. Travis has worked on some of them, but really they're large scenes. They're meant to ease a new player into Shroud of the Avatar by introducing them to concepts gradually. So here's a switch right here, which you learn about pretty quickly, but someone just went up the elevator. I saw it happen
on the way up.
Yeah, so I've actually been going around the outskirts for a little bit now. So someone who's straight out of the Isle of Storms, which is our first scene, I'm a little bit ahead of them. I'm probably level, I think, this point. Well,
hey,
level 19. I missed the lift there. There's always an alternate route, and it could be that this is because I'm in multiplayer instead of friends only. But what I've done is I've gone through and I've completed some quests in here. I'm not going to spoil the quests. I think we've gone over some of them before, and that actually awards me a lot of experience. Yep, I can't get up here.
I'm not sure why. That's actually on live.
Yeah, that's a new bug for us, guys. We're pre-release. We're squashing bugs constantly. So what I'm going to do here is, so that I have my own a place where there's not a bunch of other players running around. I have my own instance where I can interact and everyone will only focus on me. I'm going to switch to single player. And this is what was mentioned earlier, is the selective multiplayer aspect of the game. And we can essentially be in the same world with lots of players, or with just ourselves, or just with our friends. So we're choosing just ourselves right now.
Also, we just hit 15,000.
Wow.
For those keeping score at home, I'll get your
Huzzah.
your beads.
I'm wearing the minimum amount of flare.
So if you see, I'm still in the same place. I even have the light spell still cast. So this hopefully will alleviate the issues that we're having in Highvale outskirts. I guess what it does not. So that's a persistent bug here.
Except that's not persistent.
Or that we're dealing with. I don't think that other people.
I'm going to say that's a GM client only bug because no player has ever seen that before.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, thank you.
This is, and we saw actually someone flying or going up. I'm flying right now. I'm going to cheat a little bit here to go to the monastery. But yeah, we saw a player actually using that, so it's not necessarily broken for everyone.
We do very often have. Oh, nice work. Okay, well, let's talk about death.
Yeah, so death is something that's almost inevitable in Shroud of the Avatar. And what happened to me just then was I died because I fell out of the sky. And what you can do is go to an Ankh of Resurrection, which will show up on your compass. It'll actually show up on your in-game map now as well.
And it also shows up as a beacon of light shining up in the air that you can generally see from a long ways away.
So this is who I actually wanted to go see, is our buddy Leonard. Basically, when you start out, you don't have a lot of skills. You can see that I've invested some points in skills here, but as someone who went down the courage tree, I started out as a warrior. And so I have some blades skills that were given to me straight up, but I found a halberd and I started using that instead. So I actually leveled a bunch of polearm skills as well. And so the majority of the XP that I've gotten is just through going around this area and talking to NPCs and completing quests. And so typically when you complete a quest, it will say you've gained this amount of XP to go towards character skill progression. And what that means is it goes in this little pooled experience. And whenever I am leveling one of these skills, for example, I will use puncture, which is the skill right here on this practice target. I gain a little bit of XP in that bar, so I gain progress towards it, and I lose XP in my pooled experience. So basically, if you have no pooled experience, you can't level skills.
And also for players who are experienced players, if you mouse over one of the skills, and you can see that there's some dev stuff on there showing experience. But that is actually something we're going to be adding. We're going to be exposing that to players so they can see how much experience they have, how much to the next level, how close they are.
So we're being asked to do a spin here. So we're going back to our main camera.
All right, here we go.
Could you help me launch this?
Oh, no. Elven bundles! I'm going with my to the left roll if we hit any double ups. And, oh, here's what everybody's been waiting for, and I even got it legitimately. Homes, lot decos, basements, and pot upgrades.
I can't do it. I'll just give you raise.
Oh yeah. So put your hotkeys. Your settings are all crazy.
You can reset them. Press cancel and then delete all that stuff though. Okay.
Hey guys, we're on camera.
Yes, we are. We're going back to our practice target. And so basically you can sit and you can whack on a practice target and get skills up all you want. And these practice targets are conveniently located all around these outskirts areas, or somewhere in the outskirts areas. But you won't be able to sustain that. Your XP will go down and then you'll have none. You have to go back out and kill some stuff or quest.
And this is all because we love the idea of a use-based system, but we also all abuse the crap out of it in Ultima Online. I think everybody remembers the days of stacking things. So let's try and come up with something that encourages both adventuring and also use-based aspects.
Definitely. And, just because you start on a certain tree does not mean that you're stuck with that. So as I mentioned, I started on swords, but I picked up a polearm, and that works for me. As well as any sort of magic. If you just feel like you don't want to do spears anymore or ranged anymore, you can go ahead and switch over. There's no locking in a class. The paths are just putting you on with a character that's related to the theme of that path. So I'm actually at an adventure trainer, and this is where you learn new skills. In order to learn a skill, you have to actually be able to access that in your skill tree. So, for example, I can't learn Summon Fire Elemental right now because I would need level 40 in this skill and this skill and this skill all the way up. But I can start at the top of the tree, learn Flame Fist, and I'm going to learn a few other ones as well. So Moon Magic, I think that someone mentioned Night Vision before. We're going to go ahead and learn Night Vision. And there's not a lot of cost. It's just 100 gold to learn a new skill. And again, it starts at level 1. I'm going to learn some Chaos Magic as well, some Confusion. And so these skills I know, but I can't necessarily use them right away. So in order to be able to use a skill, it has to be on your combat bar. Or, wow, we're really making progress. Or in a combat deck. So if you pull out your weapons, you'll see your combat deck down here. If you start out, it might seem a little bit more sparse than this. But any empty spot, you can just click and drag something from your skill tree. So let's go to one of the skills that I'm adding, which is Flame Fist. And we're going to put that in the place of Body Slam. Now I'm getting an initial cooldown because I can't just swap my skills immediately and use them. And now I can see if I go back over here, the practice target, I can use my Flame Fist.
And we can also point out the highlight there that went away as soon as you were out of range and had weapons drawn. It did highlight. That the brightness of that is also adjustable. I know I've had some people concerned, both one, that they couldn't see it, and two, that it was too distracting. Yeah. So put it wherever you want to. I'm sure you're right in the middle right now.
Yeah, if you don't see what he's talking about, you can see there's a slight glow of the practice target. I have it targeted, so it's up here. And this is actually a new thing in R50. When I get in range close enough, it turns darker red versus just a little hint. So the other ways to actually modify your skills, let's say that you want to do both. You want to have a fighter and you want to have a mage. Well, you can just go and create these decks, which you can swap between, and pull down pretty much anything you want from your skills. And if we create this deck that's incomplete, we can still switch to it and then start pulling skills out from our skill tree. So you don't always have to edit your deck from the deck menu. You can kind of, even in combat, if you are fighting an undead and you only have death skills locked on your bar, well, then maybe you want to drag a Flame Fist over that death spell so that you can actually do damage to the undead minion. And there's more advanced deck building that you'll get into definitely eventually, but ultimately you can have all locked lists and get around fine.
Yeah, and one of the things we found is that because we do have a combat system that has a lot of depth to it, a lot of people get intimidated by it or think it's overly complicated. It is honestly so simple. Many players do not even open the deck menu or know about it. They just play completely like this, where they have one deck and do all that. That's really more of an advanced skill thing. So don't feel like you have to do that. But that's totally up to you if you want to.
Yeah, I remember when I first started playing, I did that, and I made decks that were just really bad. Like, I didn't know what a slug was. If you don't have enough cards in your deck, you draw these things called slugs, and that really confused me. So I had a deck full of slugs, and I thought I was good, and I was having trouble. The other aspect of it is your skill level dictates the amount of glyphs you can have, or if you see this puncture, it has a ×3 next to it in the range description and the damage description, which means that I have 3 of these cards that I can use, or 3 of these glyphs. And so what that means is if I have an unlocked deck, I can add 3 of them. But more importantly, right now in this deck, if I just hold down or click that puncture button and I hold it down, you can see that it has a little 3 in the corner there. And that means that it's I'm basically stacking that. It's the heat system, or charging it is the correct term. Yes, and I am getting an additional benefit to that. Not only is it less focus cost, but it's more damage. So as you see, the stats change when I charge there. So it's not just having these skills, but also being able to choose which ones you want to charge and which ones maybe you want to have unlocked, which was actually, we went over unlocked decks last time.
If you make a brand new character from the start, there's also a couple skills, if you go and look, that might not necessarily be in your starting combat deck. So it's worth it. I know if you make an archer, go ahead and hit K and go in your range. You might have a couple skills you didn't know you had.
Yeah, like I'm leveling air gust so that I can get dash. So I want, even though I'm a heavy melee guy, I'm still going to use air. And as you see, it's not a great choice for heavy melee guys because the fizzle chance on air magic is a lot, but I still want to do it. I'm going to take the risk. It might be 50% chance that I can cast that dash spell, but I'm just going to try to spam it till I can.
And it's high because he's wearing heavy armor.
Yeah, I'm wearing chainmail right now. So if I wanted to get an upgrade to this chainmail, the Highvale outskirts might not be the best spot. Their blacksmiths here don't necessarily have the best gear available. So if I were in Highvale, I might want to go to Resolute or someplace like that to buy, let's say I have a Bridge Defender bow, or I guess a Bridge Defender sword in this case. I would want to go to that blacksmith and buy a spear or a halberd or something along those lines. So that's, do we want to go over anything else in terms of?
Oh yeah, well, so he's covering all the basics here. There's a lot of depth and subtleties to things that we could get into. You also have, if you want to show off inventory, just give people a quick tutorial on the tabs and the filtering and all that.
Yeah, for sure. So,
and also encumbrance.
Yeah. Right now, I've got weight right here. So that's the weight. If I open my inventory, this is my bag. You can also see some information on your character sheet, your paper doll. But I've got a lot of different items right here. So starting at the bottom, all these grayed out ones, these I just start with as a character. There are a lot of different crafting trees, and that's not for this deep dive. So these are all related to that. Secondly, I've got a bunch of quest items. So as you travel around the world, it may not be immediately obvious what is a quest item and what is not. You can see these these yellow highlights, gold highlights are quest items. And then for the rest of my stuff, we have these sorting equipment or tabs. The first one would be equipment, and I can see some of the stuff that I picked up. So again, I'm using a GM client, so there's extra data here, but these are just things that drop around the world. Again, crafting is extensive, so you're going to get crafting materials pretty much everywhere, and that's where they all live, in this crafting tab. Housing just means anything that can be placed as decoration. So that means this note, I could place that on a wall or on a chest. These books, I could place that pretty much anywhere. The
consumables is the one I want to make sure you show. In addition to the combat bar, you'll notice there's a second bar beneath there.
Oh yeah.
And that's one of those things, make use of that for any of your consumables. So, potion of health should be down there. Your food in this game is extremely important, as it is a Lord British game. In fact, right now I think it's actually too important. We need to cut down how much it heals you, but just dropping food, all you got to do is, again, drag it into your bar, or you can use it straight out of your inventory. But any of those consumables, you can just drag down and drop into your consumables out of combat bar.
Summoning pets, that's another good one to throw down there.
Yep. Recall scrolls, another important thing.
Who's saying too important? Food is just as important as it needs to be.
It's
I'm just
overpowered.
saying.
The high end is overpowered. It needs to either be high.
I just thought it would be
high
fun for me
health
to come
and
in here
focus
and
regen.
troll you on it since I'm listening.
Or lower the duration. We gotta do one of those two things. having stuff that gives massive stat bonuses for multiple days. A little OP. Basically, again, we try to avoid things that you just can't play without, and that's one of those things that feels like you can't play without.
Yeah, I actually gotten some high-level food from another character.
Yeah, that is one of those things early on in the game. As soon as you can get to a town that has actual players in it, like you said, Resolute or just any of the big towns, really, get in there, find other people's vendors, and they'll usually have food on them. Because you can't live without food. Makes a massive difference. You want to show them how you can tell you have food on there?
Sure. So your status buffs will show up below your name in the top left corner. So we can see the two little food icons right here. Show City and Wolf Chops. And I think I have
You want to show them
God mode on.
toggling auto attack?
Mm-hmm.
I actually have not learned that yet.
See?
No.
Oh, you haven't learned it
Yeah.
yet.
Oh, wait. No, I have.
you haven't.
I have. Okay, good.
Liar.
Sorry. I thought I hadn't. But that's something you learn, I believe, from a adventure trainer as well. So that guy that we had talked to up above. This scene is amazing and it looks really pretty. And there's a lot of things to do here. I'm always afraid of falling off. Luckily, there's no air elementals around.
We need to put some jumping puzzles in the middle of this bridge.
It used to be breakable, which Lord British loved, and then we decided for brand new characters, maybe falling to your death and running around and back up the mountain for 5 minutes wasn't.
But generally speaking, you can go pretty much anywhere. It's if I want to go try and jump up here, I can. And if I want to use this to sneak around and stealth behind this kobold, there's nothing stopping me except for fall damage, of course. But it's a big world out there. New Britannia can be intimidating, but understanding the basics will help you get a good start.
And for those new players or players who haven't actually tried the game yet, so we do have a 2-scale system where there's the maps that you're actually in, and there's an overworld. But again, as he's showing off here, like these maps are not small maps when you're in them. Most of them are large and can be an hour plus adventure experience or adventure time. Also, there's around 400 maps and growing. About half of those cities, I think.
There's a lot.
400, yeah.
Yeah, I think there are 392 or something. The last report I looked at.
I can look at the in-game map too.
And I forget if we mentioned, if you are in combat, your health regen is going to be crazy slow, so is your focus regen. So whenever you get a chance, when you're done with the creature, put away your weapons.
Mm-hmm.
You'll heal a lot faster, especially important if you don't have food.
Well, Chris, do you want to answer a few more questions while we transition into the deeper part of the display on screen here?
Let's see.
Okay,
I look down my list.
Yeah, I can just switch with you. It'll be easier.
Yeah,
Fix that. So you can use GM client.
Did you put us back on the Camry?
I can do that right now.
Swap over. And I can talk about a new system coming online that I could probably talk about for about a half hour, but
Perfect.
I'll try to make it quicker. This is not a beginner topic. This is actually the exact opposite. This is a new, very advanced feature that's going in. And earlier when I said I was in charge of the combat stuff, that also means I'm in charge of pretty much all the skills in the game, the skill trees and how to balance that stuff, and make sure it stays fun and compelling for people. One of the things we've been missing was so many times we've heard from players a couple different things. One, that they wanted to make choices on their skills. They didn't like that everybody could get every skill. We limit what you can actually do in the game because there's no classes and you can level up if you want to. You can level up every skill. But we limit you by, as you saw, the combat bar. You're only allowed to have a finite number out there, and it's hard to change them. That's kind of how we make you define your play style, is through that.
For that session, you can change
For that session, but you can change it, and that's the thing, is you can be, I'm playing the tank 1 minute, and it's like our healer has to leave, and it's like, all right, well, I'm going to switch over to my healer setup, and it'll auto-swap all your gear and everything else and your skills for you just by changing your setup. Let's see. Oh, so players wanted ways to make choices on things. That is one of those things that, of course, is a Lord British type thing, but also Ultima Online thing. You always had to pick what things you're going to focus on. So we didn't have a good mechanism to do that because we'd made things so flexible that you could do everything. It just took you a little while to change. But there are a few things that we wanted to balance that without having those type things, we couldn't really balance them. One of those is taming, as I constantly get yelled at on Facebook and on chat and everywhere, fix taming, fix taming. And I promised people if they said enough times I would do it. So I'm now doing it through this system, which is the mastery system. So you'll be able to choose up to 2 different skill trees to master skill, and that means that at any one time you can have one that is set to train, and then one that is set to maintain. Is that deer jumping? I guess they can't see that, so I shouldn't be talking about that.
He's dancing.
So you'll have one that you can set to maintain. He is dancing. Wow. And then one that you can set to train. All the other mastery skills will be set to unlearn. When you set one to train or maintain, it'll turn off all the other ones to make sure they're on unlearn. But there's going to be a new mastery passive skill that is in every skill tree on the adventurer skills. That'll basically be, it depends on which skill tree it is, but usually at the end of the passives line of skills. So you will have the choice to train up those skills, and you can master any 2 at one time. Now, what they do depends on what the category is. But I mentioned the taming part, that's one we're trying to solve the balance for. The balance problem we're trying to solve is one that a lot of players don't think about if you're used to classless systems. And that is, if we made taming awesome and we didn't have any way to limit, like to say you had to make choices to, I'm going to be a tamer, like basically everybody's going to have a pet out, everybody's going to have the taming creature. If we make it good enough so people really want it, everybody's going to want it, and then you feel like you have to play with it. So with the mastery system in place, that means that we can have choices for the player to make. So you can master basically 2 schools. So if you want to be a master tamer, you can. And by doing that and only having 2 things you can level up at any one time, it means that we can make taming powerful enough so... What's going on?
Which dice do you see?
Oh, I have no idea.
I got it.
He's good.
I don't touch any of that stuff. But by having 2 things where you have to make a choice, because it's basically you could be like a blade master and a fire master, or you could be a blade master and a taming master. Because you're having to make that choice, you can only master 2 different things at a time. It lets us really put some oomph into those things and not have to worry about the balance. Because not everybody is going to be a tamer master, because like they'd have to give up their fire magic, or I know one of the people up here, Lexi, likes to play with, she's a life magic person. She only wants life magic. Are we now, did you switch over? I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, you're still in view, though.
Those are big fish.
Yeah. They're not very scared either. Like they're going to have a frenzy on us.
All right, so what the mastery stuff does is there's a couple things. It depends on the school, the tree that you're in. Is that one of yours?
Yes.
Okay, that's yours. Teleporting to a safe spot that's not in the
Yeah,
water.
he spawns as close as he can.
Don't put me in the water.
Yeah, fire elemental goes poof.
Oh, so for magic schools, for instance, if you have mastery for those magic skills, it looks like you're trying to navigate to a safe spot where you're not going to get aggro and
He
kill
probably,
is where you're torturing your fire elemental like that.
Yeah, he sees you no matter what. He sees you when you're sleeping.
So anyway, so mastery in the magic schools, to give you an idea of how roughly the power you'll get out of it, there's a number of things. Oh, here's another important thing to note is you see that skeleton over there. This is something we added a while back that I think kind of stuck and nobody knew if people would like it, but I think people love it.
I love it. Yeah.
When another player dies in a scene, they leave a skeleton. And the scene keeps the last 30 or so death spots. So if there's dangerous places, you'll usually see skeletons littered around them. Also, if there's places where people tend to jump to their death, you'll see skeletons on them as well. So
Or a pile of...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, anyways, back to the mastery for magic. So an example for what it'll do for magic school is plus 20. And this is at, if you get it to a 100, you get 0.2 points of attunement per point you have in the mastery. So if you get to 100, you'll have plus 20 attunement in that school. You will get the same negative amount in the opposing school. So if you're a fire mage, you'll get negative in water. If you're life, you're going to get negative in death attunement. The other thing that, other two things it does is it adds a mastery skill that has variable effects on different skills, and the skills will now describe what the mastery does for it. And also the one that a lot of the more serious hardcore players are excited about is if you're a master in a tree, one thing it'll do for you is once you hit 80 in that mastery skill, it will unlock an extra card for each and every skill in that tree. For those who don't know what that means, we call them cards, but it's really just another skill use thing. So when we were doing the charge up stuff earlier, and you could charge things up, so it'll give you one more level of charge that you can do. If you're the type that wants to play like a real deck and have randomized cards, you'll have one extra card you can put in those decks. It's a big power thing. It's for anyone who's hardcore, they will get that is a big deal and opens up a lot of new strategy stuff for them.
Yeah, I'm excited when I heard the mastery changes. You know, I personally build my character right now pretty much a little bit of everything. You know, I like getting, as you see on screen, I'm healing Travis right now. I don't always heal people, but I can pull off a healer build. I don't think that's where I'll put my masteries when I get the opportunity. I might do moon magic or maybe ranged or spears or something like that.
I do not tank much. Corey kind of helped me make a tank deck.
Yeah, we're doing our like.
This, so now I'm excited. I can actually do this now. I was missing a couple skills that are kind of essential to it. But.
And for those who are watching and thinking this looks easy, it's important to note that they're doing a lot of this stuff right for this fight. This is a fight that has some strategies to it, where I've actually seen videos of players who have killed Torqued all the Broken without taking basically a single hit.
I think Elena Strongbow, who just got the order, I've seen him do that on stream naked as a challenge to himself.
Yeah.
You really can't mess up the timing once.
Yeah.
I like hearing that type of stuff because that's the other thing. One of the things we brag about is, again, another Lord British type thing is we're not a totally gear-based game. Gear should not define your character. And that's also, I frequently have people like, you know, angry about I can't craft a plus 15 whatever and I've got to have a plus 15 whatever. You don't need a plus 15 whatever. That's just for fun. That's for maybe that'll help a little bit, but if you're a skillful player, it doesn't matter. So hearing a skillful player killing them naked makes me happy. It means that we've succeeded on some of our design goals. And if you see like some of the stuff going on here is that, well, one, they know where to fight them. But also jumping at the right time with good tells from them and avoiding hits, you know, moving around and moving to the side.
We want more. We want more fights to be like this, telegraphed attacks.
And this is also something. Oh, I should point out this model. While this is a cool fight, the model for this is horrible and on our short list of things to face. There's just a lot of visual things I would face.
A makeover.
Yeah, and also. I think the red on him shows up a lot brighter than it on the targeting diamond, and so probably again you can go to the slider.
Yeah, that's in
the
video options. I'm not going to attempt to do that.
Come on, man! Just tell him time out.
But there were recent changes to aggro as well. I think that were brought up, and so right now you can see that Travis has most of the aggro, well, because he's in front doing the damage. But I'm also casting debuffs using Juxtapose with other things to combo. If you look on Orkdog's status bar, you can see a bunch of those. But because Travis is doing most of the damage, he's holding the aggro, which is really good in this sort of 2-man fight that we're doing right now.
Are you casting fireflies? I should stop.
Oh yeah, and that's another thing, you know, like we're both casting, well, I have debuffs in my deck, so does Travis. So if I cast a debuff, then he casts a debuff. The last one wins. It's not whoever's strongest. So we got to make sure that we're coordinated on that aspect. Same with other healings. You know, I'm doing the healing roll right now, and I'm casting, you know, a heal over time on Travis. So if he were to override that, it would probably be less value, or be shorter and do less heals.
Yeah, just some of the other things to note here is like attacking from behind is big in terms of any creature or player. Attacking from behind, as you would expect, results in a lot more crits. Crits are pretty important in terms of you know, average DPS, in addition to, for players, getting crits to be the killing blow before people get off a chance for a heal. There's also a lot of other things you can get. Take cover from things. There's bonuses if you're attacking from a higher point, attacking down. That is for everything. It's just the bonus scales up based on the amount. And the idea behind that is we've got sieges and other things coming that are more PvP based and also PvE defending type based.
Also, he does a massive amount of damage when he falls.
I nerfed it a little bit.
Did you? That's good.
Because it was too easy
so
just to. It's not satisfying because you kill him and then like he falls and he kills you. And
yeah.
Oh man, that's the only time you hit me the whole fight long.
There's a couple, but yeah, the Phoenix explosions I always get.
Yeah, but those aren't nearly as bad, I feel like.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of the things that you can't really see right now that's new are a bunch of these status effects, and I think we were talking about this earlier, but it really helps in terms of reacting, especially with PvP. When I was using blind, you would see, you know, light go around his eyes and come into his eyes. You know, if someone casts confusion on you, or torpid torment, or all of these other debuffs that are out there, you can actually visually see now on your avatar that that's happening. And so it's not as much of like staring at your status bar as it is paying attention to the status effects of your character.
Can you wide and show off your decks? This is again showing in an actual experienced player who's got multiple different decks set up.
This is my latest that I like, that basically lets me jump all around the place and be annoying.
Oh yeah, that one's...
Corey doesn't like it.
It is, it's really annoying.
But it came after, you know, fighting a lot of people and seeing what worked and what didn't work, like what are my strengths. It doesn't work in constrained areas like in the fall, because, you know, if I'm standing toe to toe with someone, I get pummeled. So if I were to do...
Yeah, well, I know I've played Travis against this deck before, because we'll just PvP for fun.
Here, let's show him. So if I were to do, this is one of my favorite changes lately. If I were to cast this on him, before it didn't have something you could notice. So if that's on you, oh sorry, you need to do a few things: purify, shield of air, and then get rid of that. So right now, every focus he spends, he's going to take damage. And so I really like the new effects. And some people, you can sit and wait and watch when they do that, and you know they're casting that, and you can hit them with lightning while they're doing that, and then it cancels it, and they have it stuck on them for a while.
Yeah, and well, what Richard was saying about the sort of rock, paper, scissors, it's very true. I mean, I think that Travis built this deck partially as a response to like people going spears a lot in PvP. So he's using Blink, which is a teleport skill. So he basically is staying away from melee range, and he's an ice mage. So he is using things that are slowing slowly melee people down. So I can't close the gap next to him, and even when I do, he teleports away. So really, I change my deck depending on that build. So now I'm trying to, add maybe some moon skills so that I can teleport directly to him. Or what I actually have done a lot is use pull. So
people are doing that a lot to me lately, and you just get yanked right back.
Yeah. So
I know you're also using a spear and a dagger. Is that I'm guessing you also drop some poison on them when you're actually in range of them?
Definitely.
I'm using spear and wand, but yeah, the spear was for the poison damage for spear.
Yeah, and I was using this build, or this build I use a lot versus mages, and I'll put on all warding gear. And so basically what that means is I put gems of resistance to certain magics in my gear. And if I was fighting Travis right here, I would do Tempestry, which is the water magic. I would have a bunch of Tempestry warding so that I could directly counter him. Now, right now, I don't, and I'm about dead.
And also, one, we've fallen behind. We hit 20,000, 22,500, wow. Which means we're 2,500 away from the Mardi Gras garlands. That's next up. And only 12,500 away from the flambeau. I just saw something that reminded me of a change that just went in for, this is more for the experienced players, will know what this means. But knockdown, as pretty much everyone knows, has kind of been broken in all sorts of different ways. Knockdown got both a design change coming up in R51 and also getting some visual polish. So Knockdown was extremely painful because it was animation based rather than time based, and there was no real counter for it. So it's moved to be, you still get the knockdown animation, but there's also, you will be able to jump out of it and you'll be able to break it quicker, which you can do for stuns. Burn focus, which again, if he had that torpid torment on him that he was just thrown over there and he's, rapidly hitting space to try and jump, that's burning focus and doing himself damage. So basically it's going to become very much like stun except in visuals. The thing that's going to change that makes knockdown better than stun is when someone is in the knockdown state, they're going to have massive defensive debuffs.
Oh, that's cool.
So knockdown was crazy, broken, overpowered. It's going to be less powerful now, but it's also going to have a new thing, which is, again, now knockdown is basically will be a massive debuff. It'll be close to like being behind someone. That'll be an addition.
You see on my bar, I have smelling salts all the time.
Oh, yeah, for the knockdowns and mesmerize.
Yeah. While you're knocked down, you can use smelling salts and it kind of reduces the amount you're on your back.
All right, well, we are getting very close here. I see there's world builder people outside. We can talk about this stuff for hours and show off stuff for hours. We'll just stand here, and I'm guessing that Torquedall's going to respawn and kill Court any second now.
No!
So while we wait for that to happen. Oh. Hasn't happened yet.
Any minute. But it's time for our next segment anyway.
All right, we're being kicked out.
Yeah. All right, good job, everyone.
Bravo.
Yes. Thank you. And it's time for sales.
Woohoo!
Yeah. And we've made a lot of progress. We're getting super close to the next stretch goal. And I've been missing beads. We're at 22, so I need to put on like 3 beads, I think.
We're going to open up a new, break up a new thing. Hey, let's break up this one out here.
Yeah.
Right there.
All right. So we're at 22. If someone could write up 22,500 up there, we're only 2,500 away from the next stretch goal, which is going to be Mardi Gras garlands.
3 for you.
And we're going to do a couple spins. Here we go. 2 and through. Where it stops, no one knows. Shogun bundles.
Shogun.
All right, here we go. Spinning, spinning. 2 and through. Where it stops, no one knows. Outdoor deco.
Ah.
All right.
Decos are popular.
All right, and our next segment is going to be about the world, and we're doing a little different this time. We're going to be focusing less on the actual physicality of the space and more about the puzzles and quests, because one of the things we realized is that there's a whole lot of interaction in those spaces that folks don't necessarily know about. So we're going to have our designers come in and show off all the cool interactions that are in these spaces. And we're going to start off, Rich is going to talk about what his goals are for the world itself. And then Seawolf and Damien are going to talk about the work that they've been doing in Highvale Outskirts. So I'm going to hand it off to Mr. Richard.
Hey, yes. So on the world building tour today, we are going to be, while taking you through the Highvale Outskirts, I'm going to ask these guys to focus a bit on puzzles and quests. And these guys know all too well something I mentioned earlier on the stream about one of my constant mantras as I walk through is, more traps is probably the most common, but then, more puzzles and sitting around things about side quests is very high on that mantra list. And I really think that that to me is one of the hallmarks of the games we've made down through the years. I mean, there are a lot of really great role-playing games that really focus on and do a great job of the challenge and reward cycle of combat. That I think, as we mentioned before, combat has been historically one of the weak areas of the Ultima-like games that we've done in the past. That I'm very excited to see that our combat stuff is coming up so nicely. Mm-hmm. But to me, an essential thing we have to get right just to deliver on the promise of what people have liked in the past is to make sure there is not only a solid story and solid quests, but all these side quests that let you demonstrate various aspects of virtues or fail in various aspects of virtue, and all of the interactions that are not just wandering through the jungle and finding some monsters to fight, but rather finding puzzles to work your way through, finding story elements, finding these side quests that kind of deepen your relationship with the main themes of the game. You guys have been doing, by the way, a phenomenal job of that. I know the players over the last few releases have been seeing it, and I get tweets all the time from people just going like, wow, I've come back to the game after being away from it for a number of releases, and how they can see that that's going in so fast. So anyway, I'm very excited to hand over to you guys out there, you viewers out there, if you haven't seen this kind of space before, you are in good hands. Have a good time.
Alrighty. Oh, let's get started then. Yeah, I'm full of you.
Oh, wait, before I walk out of the room, wait a minute. Are these both true? Oh my goodness. We have actually, before I pass it completely over, we have gone 2 dings up. And by going 2 dings up, we have not only crossed the really important $25,000 mark, but we've already gone up to the $27,500 mark. Thank you all so very much. Thank you,
everybody.
That means, by the way, any of you who are on today, any of you who are on the stream today watching us, if you've given us at least $5 of new money, not store credit, but $5, you've spent $5 real dollars on something, you now not only are going to get the new Samba, Have You Samba emote, but you will also get the Mardi Gras garlands as a deco that you will be able to use as well. So all of you today have Samba and Mardi Gras garlands. We're already 1 click into we only need 3 more to get over to the flambeau. As Star was mentioning, that is a 2-handed torch that you'll be able to carry around with you. Should be a pretty cool item to celebrate your Carnival / Mardi Gras activities. Thank you all so very much. We are making really great progress on this telethon. Hope you enjoyed this deep dive. Over to you guys.
Thank you very much, sir.
Really in unity, not that.
Oh, okay. We'll be in unity then. All right. Okay, I'll bring it up. Gotta rearrange myself here.
I guess we can just start directly in the outskirts, or not in the outskirts. No, battle time.
Yeah, I'll just start right there. Let me open the scene up then. So what we're going to show you are the breadcrumbs that the brand new player, after making their character and going through Isle of Storms, the breadcrumbs in the tutorial scene to see how much more, I guess the best word to say, efficient or easier it is to get through, because it actually shows you where to go and who to talk to, and it kind of leads the player into understanding how the game is played. So let me get to, where is it, scenes? What time did you see?
Yeah, here's
Iril Village. That's right. All right, so we'll have an exciting time waiting for Unity to load the map. There we go. And fire it up. And we will get started. So what is our generic character's name? I keep forgetting, isn't it?
I don't, Lord Minus?
Yeah, Lord Minus. So I guess we can see what Lord Minus is dressed in today.
Unless somebody's made one. It's EE. Yes, I'll make it better. There we go. Okay. So, we have our fourth conversation here. Talk to the Wounded Knight. And help. Talks about
feel it. So I'm going to try and go those kind of fast, just so you can see all the improvements that we've made to the area. And we get leave. Right. So we have our quest: leave Highvale, deliver Britannia, that kind of thing. And you'll notice in the compass we have basically our quest highlights. The first place we're going to go to is to get the Highvale Defender's Sword. So easy enough, just follow the little glowy. It beats some feet there. Look at that, there's our glowy sword, right where the single arrow told us to be. So we're going to double click that, and boom, there it has it equipped. Yes, it's very difficult to miss. So you got the light there, and it's glowing, all that great stuff. So our next stop will be right here to use the keyhole. Normally, it would give me a second person to talk to. He kind of opens up some other little side quests if you want to do them. In fact, this will be one of the first side quests I have the option of doing. And I've pointed out right here that is the healer. We're not going to do that because it's going to take up too much time, but basically when you talk to the healer, he wants to see if he can help Wayne, Sir Wayne, who's on the ground. The person we talked to was sitting there bleeding to death. And so you escort him over there, and he tries to help him. And no spoiler alerts, you got to figure out if he does help him or he doesn't. All right, so now we're going to use the keys. So that's the second thing that we need to do. Is it working? There you go. All right, now we go first thing into combat. Our next place we need to go, we need to see the farmer. That's what Edward's been told to go do. And he's the one who's going to take us to Highvale Outskirts. There we go. So basically, as tutorials are telling fundamentals of what to do, fundamentals of combat, when to use a particular power, and so on. Lastly, our final stop is to speak to the farmer here, good old Floyd, and he's going to take us to Highvale Outskirts. He's rather in a hurry, so he says, why do you keep asking me silly questions? Let's get on the van and let's get out of here.
Something else I did in that scene was add barriers around the gates just to
that's
prevent players from trying to exit the wrong way. You're kind of forced to talk to the
Yeah, I mean, you're free to explore. I mean, there's a whole area to explore if you really want to. There's a cave you can go explore. You can go herd some other elves. There's some wolves running around. So it's nothing really stopping you from doing that. But the icons that you see in the compass are just basically to guide you to get in and out of there as fast as you can. Just get the fundamentals of basically how to play the game. This takes us directly to Highvale Outskirts. And the reason why we're going here is that we added a new quest at the very beginning for the new players when they come in as basic combat quest. This is the Path of Courage. And good old Horatio here is going to tell you or ask you to prove your courage, to prove that you are courageous, and help him to basically go find that annoying sniper that's in the area killing off people as they come here. So he won't even send you up. He won't even send you up to go see Captain Burns, who's the leader of the refugees here. So you actually take care of the sniper. All right, so we got our quest. And there's 3 different areas in which you can actually go search for the sniper. There we go. And you can see that in the compass. Points over here. Female snipers, some over there, a little bit over here, up in the forestry. Somewhere there is an elven sniper. How's it going? find one and fit him.
Pretty new. Huh?
And there he is. And another thing we did here too is, since it is the Gobi area, one of the things that we found out several months ago, well, a few months ago, is that this area is actually very difficult because of the new creatures that we have. So what I did is I was asked to basically lower the difficulty of all the critters, but increase the number. So they're not as hard to kill, but there's more of them. There's always something to go around, beat up on, investigate. Right. So one of the ways to prove that we actually went out and did kill one of the snipers is to grab the elder sniper bow. Elf here. Go back to good old ratio. Turn it in. Rainbow Elf, click on that highlighted thing, and not that very intriguing. Alright, so tap the burn. Last thing we're supposed to do is go see good old tap the burn. Alright. Oh, and also you can as well. For the formal, and we actually used it. Oh, speak up more? Evidently, I have to do my modulation. I can't control the volume of voice. All right, let's try that. Can you hear me now? No? All right. I will speak loudly now. All right, so we're not actually going to go to go see Captain Burns. Let you guys figure all that out. So what I am going to do is I'm going to show you one of this is actually a quest that not too many people have actually figured out. It has to do with a critter called the Bogman. And he shows up in different areas. He's kind of a legend, kind of like the Sasquatch or the Bigfoot in the area. And hello, gentlemen. And basically, he's just some kind of little legendary critter that's walking around. But if you defeat him, he gives you you take his arm, and you're supposed to figure out what you can do with his arm to actually possibly make a good weapon out of it. So let's see if we can find him. Sometimes he's down here. I don't know where he is. Here. I thought we had a half hour. It was only 15 minutes. 15 minutes? Did we already do that? Yeah. Oh, crap. All right, well, make a long story short, or short story long. Somewhere in Highfield, there was the Bogman. If you happen to find him, you happen to defeat him. You can get the arm off of him, and it just gives you a basic hint. It actually doesn't tell you where to go to turn it in. It just gives you a basic hint that this could possibly make a good weapon. Bogman is basically made of wood, so you have to find somebody who knows something about wood crafting. So use your little your noodle here, and figure out. Okay, so there's a crafting merchant, a crafting master in the monastery. Maybe you should go ask him, see if he knows anything about it. So you can go ask him, and yes, I'm giving it all away, but not everybody's going to know about it, so maybe some people will forget about it. You talk to him, and he says, you know what? I once knew a master woodcrafter, but he kind of lost his mind and decided to give up on his trade and go be a hermit somewhere and practice some kind of crazy meditation type of thing. I think he's over by the Elven encampment, somewhere down that way, like southeast, northeast, something like that. So after you talk to him, you just basically go on a trek to see if you can find this guy. And when you find him, he's in a tent and doing crazy little things by bashing his head into a piece of wood for part of his meditation. And he will actually take that arm and turn it into a bludgeoning weapon that was 20 plus 25 percent plus 25 against undead, so it's undead bane and gives you plus 3%. So for this lower level, that's actually really good. weapon to have as you progress. So that's just a little something to get you, thinking a little bit outside the box. Purely side quest has no effect on the main quest, and throughout the game, try and do that a little bit more, where you actually have to try and figure things out, and it's not really led by the little compass marker kind of thing. And I've already eaten up too much.
Awesome.
Here, so.
Thanks, guys.
Here we
All
go.
right.
Thanks. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, guys. All right. And we are inching ever closer to our next stretch goal of the Flambeau. We are at $30,000. Thank you. Thank you. Woo! All right. All right. And next up, we have Keith and Travis. We're going to show off, I think, Jack of Diamonds.
Yep, the Jack of Diamonds and the House on the Hill.
Oh, yeah. Super creepy. Super creepy. Woo! All right. Look at that.
Speaking super creepy.
Oh, who are you calling creepy? Look, here's some bees.
Right.
Thank you, community.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody.
Look at that. All right, have fun, guys.
Bye, thanks.
Really hot.
Are people seeing us, or are they seeing the screen right now?
They see both. And now, how many characters my password is?
I think they learned that.
So, first we're going to see the Jack of Diamonds. You know what it is already. They don't know what it is. So, the Jack of Diamonds is a place where criminal types like to hang out. It's not a combat area. It's a hangout area. It's a small space, and it's an airship. It's a special map or scene that we have that is an airship floating above Novia, just cruising along in the clouds. I wanted to have a space that was kind of like a thieves' den kind of hangout space for players, without actually just making it something obvious like just a basement, big windowless basement somewhere.
Just jump straight there.
Let's go instead to whichever one of these towns you like. So we're going. Oh, we're going to Airy. So there are 5 places where you can access the Jack of Diamonds. Because the Jack of Diamonds is an airship, you need to get there by balloon. So by the docks in Airy, Britannia Alleys, Grant Island, and Mud, there's a special Jack of Diamonds balloon with a bouncer guard at the base of the balloon. There's also an extra one in Blood Bay next to the. Whoops, that's the alarm. Blood Bay, to let me know to get online. So in Blood Bay on the Scoundrels Hold side of the civilized area of the communities. So we definitely want to go to the docks right here. At some point soon, we'll see a normal. The balloon is very similar to the balloons that you use to teleport into player-owned towns. Yeah, I'll drive it over. Okay, so I'm gonna cheat a little bit.
Okay. You can run through it at your own convenience.
Yeah. So Airy is one of our 3 biggest cities besides Brittany. It is the city of truth. If we look over here, there's a Jack of Diamonds. You can see the diamonds along the edge. Let you know that you're in the right spot. Get some lightness here. So normally, with a teleporter balloon, I'd be able to click on the ladder and teleport to the alternate location that I want to go to. This doesn't work like that, so let's talk to this guy right here. You trying to board the airship? Let's find out about the airship. I'd like to board the Jack of Diamonds as an option. Can I get more information first or maybe later? I'd say I'd like to board. Welcome aboard. So he's actually doing a little trick here. He's actually trying to, he does a check to see if we are disreputable. And we are.
Yeah, this character. Luckily.
Yeah, so this character has done some acts that have affected her reputation and virtue.
Never.
to a certain level that makes her an acceptable visitor for the Jack of Diamonds. Not everyone's allowed on the Jack of Diamonds.
You have a friend who maybe deals in the underground.
Maybe they can.
Can they get you in?
If you find some trickery to try to pull you up the side, that's possible. But still, be careful. You're not supposed to be up there. They might not like it. So if I want to leave, I could just go over here and teleport back to Airy right there. Teleport back to the place I came from, I should say. We happen to come from Airy.
Depending on where you came from.
Yeah, it's kind of like there's a little bit behind the scenes mechanics, but basements are the same way. Courage Club is the same way.
Ooh, that's not good. That plane that just.
Yeah. So if we look over the side, see we're way above the land. And what happens if we jump off? Do you remember?
I do remember. Do you want to show them anyway?
Woo! One of the crew throws a line to pull you to safety. Oh, well. I guess they're not all bad. Yeah. I want to practice. I got some practice dummies and archery target over here.
They don't know if I opened a bar tab and I'm just trying to.
Yeah, trying to.
The airship. Yeah.
Exactly. Walk around here. This is the captain's quarters.
Yeah, Keith did all the decoration for this. I really like it.
Paul E. is a mechanical raven. That's some booty over here.
That's the international sign for booty is backwards painting, leaning on
yeah,
something.
yeah.
I think it is.
I got some defenses up here. Let's go down. Things out. Now, this character is kind of special. Now I'm going to tell you how. So if sometimes you'll be wandering in the wilderness and you might find a corpse. Maybe that corpse is along the road. Maybe that corpse, you didn't even know it, but is a courier, and on their person they have undelivered mail, like an undelivered package or a letter. And what do you normally do with that, Travis?
I'd take it to where it belonged, to the town crier.
Take it to the town crier.
Turn it in faithfully.
And the town crier would get it to where it was originally intended to. They'll figure out things and get it to where it's supposed to go.
Could be a birthday card. Or...
But maybe you don't care about that. Maybe you think there's something inside that you can turn a quick buck. So you can actually bring that undelivered mail to this black market fence over here.
Who would do that?
She can accept any undelivered package or letter you might find while adventuring. No questions asked.
She's going to find its rightful owner, right?
Well, she'll put it someplace and give you some money for it, and don't ask any questions.
Okay, the less I know. I can choose to believe that and get the money.
Yeah, I'll tell you though, it's not as virtuous as bringing it to the town crier. We got some people in here. We got a guard, of course. We got a bartender she's a little away from her post, but she's probably just here to clean up. There she is. If you are one of the people who have done some of the random encounters where you fight like 2 waves of beasts lately, you might fight some like moderate challenge beasts, like some wolves, and then by killing a few of those, maybe have some like tougher wolves or a bear come out, or maybe you were killing some stags, and then later some like obsidian stags or even a dragon comes out. After those waves, you might have someone come out who might be a pilgrim or an apologist or a bounty hunter. Bounty hunter might give you a bounty slip, turn into a bounty master. And there's some few areas in the world where you can easily turn into a bounty master. So this guy right here is also a bounty master. So if you happen to come here, you can turn in your bounty slip to him instead for convenience. So there's multiple things you can do over here. Nice little back area over here when you want to discuss things in private. Who's this? What's going on here?
That's my one deco
disrespect right there.
That's my one deco contribution to the Jack of Diamonds.
Who's this guy right here?
They missed though. It's like just.
You think they missed on purpose?
Missed on purpose.
Talk to this guy. Uh-oh. See some debugging thing going on here. Anyway, this is Jack Price. He's the captain of the Jack of Diamonds, and he runs the show, and he's kind of a friendly guy, and he's got some stories to tell. He talks about how he got the Jack of Diamonds, if you want to read all that. If you want to talk about Paul E., his raven, he'll talk about that. He's got a lot going on, guy. He's a little bit of a charming scoundrel sort of fellow. That's just the Jack of Diamonds. He talks about this though.
Tiny man and that from Sinbad, is that what that's from?
It's not literally, but it's like a tribute to all the villains and tiny people and such from Sinbad. Yeah, reminiscent.
Yeah, I like this one.
So anyway, that's a Jack of Diamonds. You got to be not such a great guy or girl.
Be a nice place, when we get like card games going now. I guess you could come gamble on rock paper scissors. Shambo for now. But
Over time, as I keep putting in side quests, I'd like to actually have side quests in here. The more side quests in the world, the better. And then over time, when we get like a nice, comfortable amount of side quests that are good for both, we'll say good players and bad players, good guys, bad guys, we might have some that are only people of a certain, say, positive reputation, and only people of a certain negative reputation can get those quests. And so you cannot get all the quests all the time. It might depend upon how good or bad a person you are. So that was Jack of Diamonds.
Or lawful or loosely interpreting the law. Let's not say bad.
Yeah. The layman might say bad, but let's say a Robin Hood type, he would be welcome on the Jack of Diamonds. He's got the kind of charisma and skills that make him a perfect fit. Jack of Diamonds.
Oh, we're ghosted too. Yeah.
No. Yeah. Why not? We might leave it ghosted. Ghosted means we're invisible to all the NPCs, all the characters that we run into and monsters, so they won't fight us, and sometimes they won't interact with us. So this other thing we're going to talk about is the house on the hill. And many people in the town of Harvest, the nice sleepy town of Harvest in the northern Verdantis area, they are familiar with the house on the hill.
Do we have audio? I like the sounds. Can you hear the game audio?
I'm going to turn the music up right here. I don't know if you can hear music. Hopefully you can. Where am I? So here's a child. Let's see if this child. So here's something important that I want to point out with these kids. They don't always give you this quest. They'll always have it ready to give. Not all the kids, but the kids who do give it to you. Let me back up a little bit. When someone can give you a quest, they do special handshakes, hand waves in the air, and they have like these little particle effects that happen to let you know that they have a quest ready for you. It might not be a quest you can do right now, and you might not have said the right thing to get the quest, or you might have said the right thing, but maybe they have multiple answers, multiple responses, and only one of those multiple responses will be the quest. So that's the case with these kids. Oops. So the important thing here is hello. I'm sort of giving it away here, but I think that's okay. Sometimes when you say hello to these kids, they offer you a dare. What? So this kid tells me about the house on the hill, and the summary is that there's a witch that lives there, and if you go there at night and stay till the witch is gone, then you have completed the dare.
So you just got they just gave you that quest. It's in your journal now?
Yes. And if you look at the top left of my task list, it's a little hard to see.
Oh, yeah.
Stay in house on the hill until witch is gone.
What could go wrong?
Nothing. So house on the hill that they're talking about. Let's go over here. A nice simple house. And so there's allegedly a witch who lives here, and you can talk to some of the characters around town and ask about the witch. Actually, what time are we on time? Okay. Nice little clock, a little blood splatter at the midnight area. It's a nice, simple little place. Back door. Very nice. So nothing special happened. But the kid said I'd need to be here at night. So let's go. Night. All right, so we're here at night. Still nothing special, so let's just go inside. Oh, hold on. So now when I try to go in at night, because I'm on the quest, I get teleported somewhere. I'm being pulled into a bizarre nightmare realm. Hopefully people can hear. When we were in Harvest, there was some nice background music going. Hopefully you heard it. And when you come in here, there should not be any background music. Instead, what you hear is basically a clock tick-tocking. And so that was the entrance that we came in, and it's walled off. And the clock with the blood splatter at midnight is gone. That means something, I don't know. You can see out the windows. They're all blocked up. This is also blocked up, but yeah. Too dark. Under. Yep. Go this way. See some thing in the wall right there. So remember, we're invisible. Bad guys can't see us. Otherwise, these zombies would be jumping up and attacking us. Some heads on the wall, bodies on spikes, blood all over.
That's how you know.
Yeah. Here's another one of those clocks. Remember that clock that was set to midnight?
Oh, yeah. You just said it.
I just said it's midnight.
I haven't done
that.
that.
Something. I think that guy bashed his head against the wall. Pretty sure. I wonder what.
Oh, that's nice. Nice space. Remodeled.
And how many people have jumped out here? Gets me nervous.
Are you talking about background music?
Yeah, and sounds.
Do you have it turned on in the game?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Do you hear it yourselves?
No.
No, they can't hear it online. Crank up the tunes. I don't know. What does it show in the game?
Oh, in the game we have it turned on.
Wiggle the master.
I did that. We can hear it. There it is.
There we go.
Okay, guys, watching the live stream, if it's blowing your ears out, let us know. But it should be low.
Yeah, we can't see the chat in the window we're in.
We're monitoring.
Clock's in here. There we go. We can hear it now. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. And of course, I am cheating and running into areas where normally there would be bad guys, but they're not popping up. Travis.
Oh. Like a little kid crying. That's not creepy at all.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I don't like this though. It creeps me out. I mean, I like it. It's great, but I don't like to come here. It's too creepy.
All right, how much time do we have? Do we need to give this back to Dan? Get out of here before we get killed by horror movie villains?
But yeah, come take the kids there in Harvest
Yep.
and spend the night here.
Spend the night. Just like a Scooby-Doo house.
And is this party instance? Can you bring friends here, or are you alone once you go in?
You can bring friends there, absolutely. Same thing with the Jack of Diamonds. You can bring friends there. That's fine.
So for a themed, outing with friends, you could come.
Come do the House on the Hill, haunted house thing, and when you're done, go back to the Jack of Diamonds and hang out and share your tales with your friends.
Cool, I like it.
So, and the important takeaways are you have to have a bad reputation to get on Jack of Diamonds, and the kids don't always give you the quest right away. They don't always give you the dare to go to the House on the Hill.
Those darn kids.
Yep. So what's up, Star?
Mr. Dan is coming in.
There he
Show
is.
off some stuff with Travis, I think. Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you, Keith.
Thank
cool
you.
stuff, man. I love the House on the Hill,
Thanks,
man.
Keith.
It is like the coolest.
I'll be back later.
All right. And since I was gone, we inched ever closer, 32,500, only 2,500 or one bead measurement away from making it to the flambeau. And so if you haven't Googled yet, you got to Google video search flambeau and see what those guys. I mean, basically they're carrying a open gas flame, like in their hands. Like it's really stupid and crazy, and it's really awesome. And we're gonna make that for you guys. We're gonna get that. Travis and Dan. Oh, I gotta write this on the board. And I'm supposed to spend so many things to spend. Here. All right. Richard,
I'm
you
gonna
can
spend.
Yeah.
I haven't spent in a long time. Here we go. Big old spin. Round and round she goes. Where she stops, nobody knows. It is.
We
Dies.
already done that
Did
one.
one.
Yeah,
Start again. Spin again. Go, 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 go. Something new. Go something new. Go something. Oh, keep
One
going.
more. Oh, wait, no, one more and I'll pick.
Oh, so close, so close, so close. Here, I'll keep going till they get to the next empty one. Next empty one. Next one. It's Kobold Bundle.
There you go. And you gotta do one more.
That's one. Okay, and again, I'm doing the same thing. If it comes up on a used one, I'm going to just keep going forward till I get to it. And that was it. Oh, that's me. No,
Yeah,
I
you get to pick.
I get to pick again?
So next
All
one
right.
would be make a difference.
Make a difference it is. Make a difference it is.
All right.
All right, excellent. All right. Guess even me can pick always. Used. Works very well. Thank you. Bundles and make a difference.
All right. Great.
Excellent.
All right, gentlemen.
It's all yours. I need some more of these.
I get it back.
Control.
Sure.
In the driver's seat here. Hello, everybody. I am Keith's replacement, Dan. Keith will be back a little bit later.
Call him Keith Dan sometimes.
Yes, I'm Dan. He's Keith
They
Dan.
sit next to each other, so whoever we need just Keith specifically.
Right. It's a good way to distinguish between the two of us. Otherwise, people get confused. Keith Dan. Now everyone knows. So we're going to show off in the next 15 minutes or so here. We're going to show off 3 different levels that Travis and I collaborated on, and in particular the puzzles that we worked on.
Am I doing it out of order?
We could do whatever order.
Okay.
you
Yeah.
want.
Let's do this.
All right. So this is oh gosh, what release was this? It's not mine. Yeah,
A few ago.
yeah, it was a handful back.
It's been out for a little bit.
Yeah. You guys have had an opportunity potentially to run through here, but for anyone who hasn't gotten here or has gotten stuck, I'll show you a few tricks you didn't know about.
I didn't shop for reagents.
What's that?
I didn't shop for reagents before we came into
Oh, okay.
this guy.
So do we want to?
8.
So there's a riddle.
Slot.
Yeah.
Need a key of nothing. So Dan made up.
Yeah, so it's collaborative effort between Travis and I, and also Travis and Lum for some of them. A lot of the conversation-based ones were Lum's hand was involved there.
Yeah, this
so.
guy is stoically not helpful.
Yeah, he likes to be difficult.
Further up the mountain. Yes, he gave us a lock. But we're gonna go ahead and run through these. He says, "Welcome here to the Colossus Gate. Say nothing to me, and you will receive enlightenment." So it's literally spoiler alert.
Yeah, you have to be careful. We're gonna
Turn it
try not
off
to spoil
for the next
everything, but
15 minutes. There's gonna be a lot of spoilers.
yeah, definitely gonna be some.
Literally say.
He has nothing to offer you.
You sit behind you guys.
Oh,
Casually.
good. And in. There you go. So he fancies wordplay. So that's his gimmick. Before his classes, since it's the classes to be taken with the truth, all the obstacles are based around puzzles, using your noggin to move from one puzzle to the next.
You notice with these, you go around and hit them all. They all kind of move around the same way, and there's only one combination,
right,
where they can identical.
Yeah, there's no other combination of blocks. And you can only move the light ones. The center column, solid colored ones are okay.
So each of the white ones will.
Right. Each one.
Right.
And the two positions they can be in, one of those positions is not always across the board. The big one. I think you're pretty close. Yeah. I think you're close. That one in the other corner. Right. That one's off. I think that one's there, but that one is.
You were to get it wrong.
Yeah. So when you pull the switch here, if you don't have the right combination, feedback is, uh-oh, you're going into this. Did you? Yeah. So this is where you end up if you get it wrong, which Travis has done. And you get to deal with these slimes. Get to think about what you've done.
There's also a hint down here.
Okay, so while you're down here,
Actually, we try back to get it.
when you're down here, there's some clues to some of the puzzles. I've heard some people say there's puzzles, no clues. There's clues, solutions to all the puzzles.
Yes. There are fewer clues than some people think, but I'll
So we read an interesting thread
Yeah.
with some pretty crazy insights. So, some of them were great.
Where's
To
that
the
big
comments.
thing? Right.
That's the thing I don't want to fight. So this is the path of truth, and path of courage. Takes you to nasty fighting areas, but you don't necessarily have to fight. I think a lot of people thought every monster that they saw they had a fight here.
Yeah, you probably want to run past the club library.
Alright,
Yeah,
so
very
where-
close.
Oh, I see where
So
we went wrong.
I think you have that one right, but I think I think that was good. Pretty sure.
Oh, I see. We need to slide this out.
Yeah.
So,
Pick your work after each one and think, okay, does that one look like the other?
we come in here and shift them on.
No.
Hey,
No.
Did the puzzle we made in only 2 tries.
Yes, we are accomplished. More baddies to deal with. I think running full speed is your best weapon
I
here.
agree, especially because I know what's up here.
So, okay, so this is more of a riddle beast.
It is, but there's a guy here, so read fast. What this says is what is not truth, right?
That.
So you could run around the labyrinth a little bit. This courage. The right. This guy down here. Whether I feel like a portion of that. Now we're gonna try to run through these quests.
And there's a lot of puzzles in here. And so at least if we don't get to either of the other, puzzle working.
Your query might know imps steal your gold. If you come here with a lot of gold, I would range them or run away if a lot of gold.
And you want to hold on to it.
They do seem to have a lot of gold when you loot them, but a lot of that's your gold.
They'll have a lot of.
Yeah.
Hey, what armor are you?
I'm wearing. Oh, wait. Okay. I'm wearing. It's white iron, but I put the Elven pattern on.
Your fashion sense.
You guys look at
We're gonna jump in next. We have these two guys.
Speaking of jumping,
who are familiar with things like Labyrinth or the old Whitefoot, Blackfoot. So I have things to say about their brothers. Basically, it's one of those. One guy always tells the truth. One guy always tells a lie. Here,
how to jump plays into.
Yeah. You can read who would have told you the truth. So basically, based in this book,
or you fall.
right? One guy tells you to jump to one side. Again, spoilers. If you're just tuning in, we're spoiling everything.
Yeah, everything gets spoiled.
So, who is Conver? You know, a lot of people are like, I don't know, I got no clues from that. Back in that dungeon with the slime,
right.
And at one point, the monk at the beginning said, you know, only some things can be learned through failure, which is a hint to come down here. We learn that it is. We'll just do it. Can we hide the screen and jump ahead? This is my favorite puzzle, good and it.
Yeah, so this is for anyone who plays chess. This will be clear. If you haven't played chess, hopefully you know enough about how the pieces move and what a checkmate is.
Yeah, get a friend to help you.
Right, but I tried to make the moves fairly simple if you're paying attention to the pieces that are there. You can only make one move. You're looking to checkmate the king in one move. So in this case, with the pawn there, the king has no other spaces they can move to. Checkmate for them. Now here, if you look at the rook here, if you interact with that, it slides over to the king's row. It puts him in check, but because the rook is now moved out of this row, the king can move into the diagonal black square in front.
Can you move every piece?
Every white piece can be interacted with, and that lets you know which side you're controlling, also which side of the board is based on where the entrance is.
And when you looked at the guy playing kind of a seventh seal you were white on that board.
Right. And so we made a sequence of these, and each one is a little bit harder, but it's always one move to checkmate. And we also set it up so that if you don't get the right move, if the king can get out of check, he'll move to that position to let you know why that wasn't a checkmate, just a check. You get a little bit of feedback to say this is where that went wrong.
This appears something that Lum set up.
Right.
I really liked it. We talked about.
I was just going to say, in the interest of time, you want to not play this guy?
That's good.
And
all of us are going for everyone's.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot to show.
Let's skip ahead.
You have two other places. You don't want to just pick one of the two.
You don't have to fight this guy, and be careful.
That's a good point.
Be careful of your AOE because it'll aggro him. But I mean, if you hit a dragon in a fire,
that's just how dragons go.
Get out of combat.
where should we go next?
East Stormful Wetland. What do we have?
We're
Already over?
We're
It's all
we
over?
go over. We're progressively over.
Okay.
I don't remember actually the solution to that one. It's been so long.
I only remember part of it. I was
Do you?
quickly putting it together at my desk to try to remember. Some of these have been a while since we did. No, the last one for Oracle Colossus. Oh, that's cute.
Can I beat the falling timer?
Yay! Oh.
Yay! Oh.
So this scene was fairly recently
Yes.
uncloned and awesome.
Oh, we try. So we did show this scene off on a recent telethon, but we didn't show anything of the puzzle, if I remember right. We may have shown where the map was.
Or there's something wrong with the map. And there.
Maybe. Oh, that might be right.
Oh, we're already here. Somewhere in the swamp. Bandit hideout. Going here. They have a looking map. If you run around the level, you'll notice it kind of corresponds in the level.
And that each axis sort of landmark nature.
Retreat.
That sense.
So, and close your eyes.
Yeah, so if you don't want spoilers,
spoilers.
Yeah.
This entire segment, pretty much.
Because to get to the cool part of the puzzle where you solve it, there's only you have to spoil everything to get there.
And I've heard this was too easy. I've heard most people say it's too hard to find the swords. We went back and forth. Kind of at one point, I had them sticking out of the water and glowing, and that was too easy.
Yeah. I think you did add a subtle glow to one of them that's a little trickier to see, but it was subtle enough that I felt appropriate.
This is the one no one finds. Yeah.
Yeah.
The one underneath the broken tree. So I guess we just went up. Hold on.
Ooh.
Oh, yay.
Woo!
What's up?
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for supporting our puzzles.
35,000. Woo!
Ooh. Go, people. Oh, that is a stretch goal.
Oh, that's true.
That's the
Flambeau.
Oh, we got the flambeau. That's awesome.
It just sounds great coming out. Flambeau. Silent X and
I feel
everything.
like I can speak French now.
I did put a skeleton arm holding this.
Yes, that's what I was referring to, and it is there. I did see it.
Can you see it better in different times of day? Maybe it was like noonish or something. Oh.
The shader is changed.
Vibration has returned.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
Yep.
Now we can see under the water. A little arm, like an Excalibur lady holding up a sword.
You're at the right
Oh,
spot.
there are two circles of lily pads, and you may be at the wrong. Is that,
No, it's not right.
you're sure? Oh, I thought I saw
Got
it.
the boat. Where'd you see it?
There.
Right here.
That's right.
Oh,
yeah,
that.
I'm gonna go
Look at it
right
now.
after this, tone this down because you can't see
Yeah,
anything.
because
I-
we know where to look. And
I
we're
apologize for people having to. That did not always look like that. I think that's a shader change to that murky fog effect.
I didn't realize you had the circle of lily pads.
Yeah, that's on the map too.
And there is another circle or two. At
By the way,
least.
this kind of stuff is literally my favorite things to go find. This. Love it, love it, love it.
We have all the swords. If you found this, just as you run in through the zone, this area, you'll notice.
What's happening when you come towards?
Yeah, a little
Okay.
reverse sword and stone. The very chest emerges.
I'm cheap. Oh, we're in combat. Vengeful
Bogman right there.
Yeah, this is the only other place in the game where Indians Bogman appear. Right.
So, William, back combat.
Yeah.
Bogman show up.
It was
There's-
1, and then
was-
we made it 5.
Yeah, I think 5 is right. Oh,
I
is it
got-
the
I had
damage?
poison. Oh yeah, the
Oh,
No,
just another
I got
guy.
one.
Okay.
and the poison.
Can't have any pudding if you don't eat your meat.
When the Bogmen, when they die, it's like, Tristan, yes, we need to find a spot we're not standing in dead Bogman gas. We can still reach. Oh, got it.
No.
And Banister Honesty. Enter
Sure.
off your house.
So, do I mean collect the pad?
Oh, that's neat.
Right. Yeah.
There's also letters by the bandit camp, nailed up on the wall of the bandit camp, that they're also about.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. There's some backstory to the whole situation. Keep him in afterwards and hook that up.
I think we're over. Do you want to just switch?
We might want to switch.
So there's really cool stuff in the Oracle
I think it's
classes.
done at 5:30.
Yeah, and that's a puzzle that requires some knowledge of the world as a whole.
Right.
You can trial and error it, but there's a lot of steps. So, wow.
Yeah. That there's I think 3 puzzles in that scene too. There's that first one that you're talking about.
Yeah.
There's one that allows you access across a lava flow. You have to manipulate some switches, and the last one is similarly allows you to cross a lava flow, but it's sort of a sequential. You interact with some statues in a sequence, and it creates platforms that allow you to cross. Anyone who's been in that scene and gotten through it, they know what I'm talking about. But if you haven't, check it out.
Did it take a lot in this map right here to set up a little hand-drawn map in the game and make sure that each place where you find the swords?
It really didn't, and Richard has already said he'd like to see more of that, so you can expect to see more of that. So if you look at little configuration, lock that in your brain.
Look on the wall right there. There's one letter right there. If you go outside, there's another letter nailed.
Oh, I didn't see that. Oh, nice.
Star's back.
Bring a little
Nice, Star.
pad, so yeah,
You
look
revealed
for
enough
more
of the
of
puzzle
those.
to tease them.
I think
Yes.
we should give the whole.
And then
Game the whole puzzle.
Give the whole
What?
puzzle.
we told them close your eyes and enjoy.
But even our own developers had trouble finding the.
Oh,
thing.
yeah,
That's
there's-
awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm gonna grab T-Wolf. We can pop a Legion.
Good.
All right.
And
Sweet.
I'm gonna
How
die.
much,
So thanks,
how much
guys.
time will we have for that?
15 minutes. I gave. I know we're going over. So,
Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
I'll
It's
stick
too much.
around then.
That's
Okay,
awesome
cool.
to fit into the 15
Yeah.
minutes.
I mean, not 15 minutes to show off a Legion Mind. You have 15 minutes for that whole segment.
Yeah.
So go snappy.
Okay.
Yeah.
You
So
gotta
I would
move.
just do Legion Minds and middle downs and skip
Yeah.
the system.
Am I driving or
Sure.
driving?
Yeah.
You are driving if you can.
Okay. Cool.
Where are we?
Okay.
Oh, we're already here.
Yes.
All right,
All
awesome.
right.
So we're showing off our super cool puzzle.
People like Elysian Mines because you guys grouped the story and it made mining pleasure.
Yes.
And
There were a lot
stressful.
of concerns about that.
But that's not the only thing
clones.
you're doing here. Obviously, we're here for the puzzle.
Yeah. So
Ouch.
Yeah, nice fights. And
burned.
puzzle is.
I made this
Marketing's
map. I
gonna
think
be
I
great.
know where all the.
Oh,
That's a dead player.
Oh, okay.
we are not alone. So we may be solving the puzzle. Someone else in the scene. We'll see. I guess we don't have to go kill the whole thing.
Right. We're just gonna show them. Oh my gosh! If I could stop
Yes.
burning, but leave me alone.
Go in the ghost mode. You don't need to fight going.
Don't try this at home because it's not available at home.
So, some general backstory about the Elysian Mines. It's on the Isle of Elysium. Xenos is another place on the island. It was briefly uncloned, copy of another scene, and now it's and Chris Wolf over here is the one who did it. And Dan was the one who came in and helped him with the spawning and setting up the puzzle. I'm just here just to be a third party.
And moral support.
So the big puzzle is focused around these mirrors. How many mirrors do you have?
There are 4.
Or
Yeah,
no,
there's
yep.
4.
And there's only one right now that's receiving a light source from the from a crack in the ceiling.
I like how you just like laugh and then rotate. Can you look up?
Yeah, so you have a light source coming in from here that the other mirrors don't have access to.
All right, so I'm
you
gonna
stand
go
in front of that light.
Good jump, but yeah, you'll go.
Now look at the light. Look at the shadow.
How does it cast the shadow?
I don't know if it'll do it from this distance.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah, I've seen people do it when it was new.
Yeah, closer up it works. What am I doing? I don't want to do that.
So
Let's walk.
a normal player might say, well, there's a mirror and I can turn it, but so what? obviously you want to go down to where the mirror is projecting and see if it's projecting onto something. The next step is
Yeah, and there's 4 locations that light can be beamed to, so you might, you know, depending, there's one that's more kind of a dead end. It doesn't really go too far, so we kind of rule that out as a place of interest pretty quickly. But you have to figure out what are you trying to do with these beams of light, based on the 4 locations that they can go.
I'm trying to remember how to get back here.
You can also bump into a mirror that has no light shedding on it, so you wouldn't know that it can cast light unless you make the connection if there's a mirror that is receiving light somewhere else in the level. So some exploration reveals some of these things, and you piece everything together.
Dan did most of the cool fancy logic.
Yeah,
Let's see if I can make this.
I really wanted to make the light physics work. So
Oh, didn't mean to do that.
that was pretty cool though. Makes a shadow.
Yeah, we got some cool shadow clipping.
because the light is hitting the back of this mirror, no light being reflected, even right now, still hitting the back.
So you can wait before you turn it. Turn to the left. Can you turn and look that way while you turn it?
While I turn it?
Yeah.
I just click it right now?
Yeah.
And it casts dynamically. So if it hits and it's a side of the mirror that's facing the light source, it'll project it. If you turn it after that, it'll go dark. If you're hitting the back, and it'll also swing across if it's changing from facing angle to the opposite facing angle. You know, just trying to make it feel like really like how a mirror would feel with the light hitting.
I should have been driving super hard for me.
Oh yeah, I didn't.
It's alright. That was one more thing of
one more level up. Yeah.
Oh, yes. I'll try that.
It was tricky too, getting these set up so the trajectory was right. Everything had to line up so that the reflections made sense.
It's also a little tricky for us to have something that round and round and round. Usually, it's one direction. You guys came up with a plan to have
we did that with the
full
statues.
circle.
It's
Yeah, there's some voodoo going on.
Yes, there is.
There's actually 2 mirrors, and we won't go into the whole thing, but there's a lot of little behind the scenes.
It's needlessly complicated, but it works.
Well.
It works.
Pretty solid.
Yeah, it's reliable. Could you, instead of setting the last one in place, could you go back to the first one?
Sure.
Show
Never seen that before.
I know I was seeing that earlier too, on working on the trap door. I think we
Probably would. Here's some behind the scenes development. Probably doesn't have the trigger box. I should probably.
knew those here. So yeah, so if
You want me to climb up there?
Yeah, if you could go up there, or even slowly go. But just to show that how the logic works for the reflections. If you now pull that, if you in this mirror and take it so that it's not reflecting the light in this kind of U shape here.
Right.
Or if anyone does it, you might be working on the puzzle, job, and then someone like Dan comes over. I know how to screw up the puzzle.
Smack.
Yeah. Nice, good old griefing.
You know.
Yeah, you'll notice all of the other lights are now off because this is the source light. So broken the chain.
You spin it back, it should reflect one back all the way to the original.
It's also
position.
important. It's also important for someone who's coming here to try this mirror puzzle. Before you spin it, look first to see if someone's halfway through. You know, you may not have to spin it. It may be like mostly there. You just need to team up with that person.
What a
Take
truth.
care of it.
Yeah, faith. There we go.
There it goes.
I like that delay where you're like,
Yeah,
oh
so
crap,
is it gonna happen?
It
Yeah.
didn't work.
All right.
All right,
And
awesome.
that's a good one too for having allies to help you out. You know, you don't have to go around the whole space. You can maybe tackle 2 a piece or however you want to do it.
Here's the biggest question. Who cares about this miracle? What does it mean? When you get it all in place.
Yes. So this is kind of maybe we won't show the whole thing, but
A side note, it's
yes.
strange that I can't open this door.
Yes.
Look at that big old jewel up there. I wonder what that's for.
That's the big taste we'll give you for that one.
All right, you guys ready to switch to middle down?
Yeah, middle downs. Thanks, Seawolf.
All right.
All right, and we hit 37,500.
Woo!
All right.
Thanks, guys. I knew estimate was
All right. We're getting closer to the Mardi Gras fountain. All right, middle downs. Show it off, folks.
Do it.
All right.
This is
So just give them a tease. Show them maybe 2 mounds,
yes.
and then we're gonna do the crafting deep dive.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Starting level into middle downs.
Yes. So this was a few, it was quite a few weeks ago. Maybe
Yeah.
4,
Almost maybe half a year ago.
Yeah.
Really like
Seems
how
like
the puzzle.
Yeah, this was definitely a collaborative effort too. Keith was very involved in the concept.
Yeah, I sort of just with the bossy pants plans. So we needed a scene, low-level players, near resolution, and Esteban started creating this nice, like a happy, very green, lush kind of place. A little bit of a, I don't know, what were your inspirations?
So I think at the time I was just looking at a lot of pictures of like the Alps and Europe, and then I think we were just like throwing out ideas of doing something with tombs.
Yeah, you were doing something. I think you might have actually said the word mound.
I may have at one point, and then at that point I just went to mound, and so that kind of changed the direction of the level, and so now we have a puzzle that's focused around these burial mounds.
Yeah,
Here we're coming across
we
one.
talked about the rounded nature of it, and you made a nice template for it, and each one is a little bit different, and the doorway faces a different direction. 4 outer mound, and then the 1 central mound.
And maybe even screw up, you can see the ring.
Yes. So yeah, there's various mounds scattered throughout the map. So this is one of the mounds, and they all have names. Like, do you remember any of the names off the bat?
Oh, is there a discovery?
I gave them. One of them is the Drovak Mound, Mound of the Sun.
Hover over it.
This one is the Bobek Mound. And so these are all names that also are very Scandinavian, just coming from that inspiration. So yeah.
Going here, you might stumble on. Well, these are hints, right?
Yes.
So if you imagine mound is that curved shape, and then you see the sun part way up, and then this sun is down, this sun's to the left, and then there's another sun all the way.
Right.
So maybe one sunrise, sunset, midday, evening,
dusk and dawn.
and then I see there's a button behind.
Right.
Big button.
Yes, that's true. So yes.
Big circular.
So if we come out here,
So we might press the button, but we don't know that we're doing anything.
right?
We don't have any hint which one is the right button, which is correct.
And you may also notice that only one button within each mound can be depressed at a single time. So, logic from that also.
Right, so we have the little cave menu. Let's go up top. And as we're going up top, I'll mention the idea is that as an ancient civilization, maybe they were simple people. Somehow, like people who built Stonehenge and things like that, they had some idea of math and the seasons and
Right.
Where shadows fell when the sun struck the sky and the sundial time. So right now, what time of day is it, and where is the sun falling?
Right now it is
Let's one plate.
Right. Yeah. So let's see.
Now you see on the rocks, a little closer, we can see that there's similar cave paintings on each rock.
Right. Yeah. These are the same cave paintings that were in the inside of the mound. So let's see. Maybe sometime in the morning is when the shadow would.
I mentioned the original idea. They weren't going to be cave paintings. They were going to be like letters, like.
Oh yeah, we actually in runic. They were going to be in runic.
But came up with the idea to have the cave paintings instead because it was a more universal symbology, and it just felt right. It was simple. We wanted the position of the sun to be important. The hint is next to the position, which then sends you downstairs to.
That's correct. So kind of where the shadow falls.
Right. You can see it there. It's kind of in between right now, so you can correlate where would that shadow fall when that shadow falls in the center of any one of these sides. What time is it? Does that time coincide with what you're seeing there?
So the simple thing is, I can see to the right. There's the we'll call it the noon cave painting, because the sun is right above the center of the mountain. So if it is noon and the shadow is cast onto the noon cave painting, then that's the button you want to press. Like,
But you gave it away.
This
Warning! Awesome. All right, thanks, guys.
Woo, all right, that's our time.
Yep. All right, everyone. Hope you enjoyed.
Sure, let one down. There you go. One down, let one in. Come on, Christopher.
All right, welcome.
So cool.
So we're running a little behind. Welcome to the economy deep dive. We're going to talk about economy and crafting. Mr. Garrett, I'm going to be sitting here. You're going to go.
I'm going to go. Okay, so sorry to keep you off camera there, B.
All right. So Mr. Garrett is going to give us a little intro about his vision for crafting and economy, and then B and Chris and I are going to jump in with all sorts of goodies, numbers, and such.
Indeed. In fact, on that front, crafting and economy is obviously essential to the long-term health of a multiplayer environment. It has to simultaneously provide direct fun in the sense of the process of discovery and resource acquisition and resource refinement and creation of things to share or to use or share. Just that process has to be fun on its own and compelling on its own. But then there's a second step, which is that you've also got to make sure that when players have those finished products, that they are valuable and interesting to share with other people, to sell to other people, to have that rich economy that remains in balance and remains compelling throughout that process. And by the way, that is mind-numbingly difficult to get all those things balanced together. And I would say that a lot of role-playing games, including our own work in the past, have had real trouble trying to keep it to be both compellingly fun, doesn't just become a repetitive grind, and then also just doesn't blow the economy on the top of that. And if you put that problem together with trying to make sure that we have these deep immersive roles that are all interdependent upon each other. In fact, but my best example still comes from Ultima Online, where it was very clear that the miners had to leave town and find their way over to a mine and needed guards to come protect them when they're in the mine so they could actually survive the process. And those guards that might protect them would, of course, need weapons and armor that would wear out while they were doing that work. And so when they all got back to town, the craftsmen in town, the blacksmiths, would use as raw materials to make the finished goods, i.e. the weapons and armor that the guards needed to be hired with to do their job, and thus the full cycle of a good economy was built. We need to do that not just with that simple example, but all through the various roles and activities of the game. So it's a pretty tricky thing to get right, and it's something I think we have not only a solid foundation on now, but I think you've seen over the last few releases how that's deepening very, very quickly, and we're now filling out all the crafting trees are filling out in ways they hadn't been before. The number of recipes going in is also still continues to mount. The diversity of that activity is beginning to mount. Bees, I know, done a really good job recently also of trying to streamline things instead of making, like we were just talking about the other day, you showed me how you were nesting your discoverability within recipes that I expect you'll probably talk about here to make sure that you don't just have a endless list of things to sort through to find the one you want. Okay. But to if we do this right, this really just becomes an essential backbone of the entire play experience. I think it's coming along marvelously, and I know these guys will say a lot more about it.
Awesome. Thanks for the intro.
Sure enough.
And before we jump in, we're going to do a couple of spins here. Here we go. And these are not rigged at all. Oh my gosh, we stopped on emotes and fireworks. Look at that.
Emotes and fireworks!
Right, and we're going to spin again. And it stopped on Obsidian bundles.
Obsidian bundles. Rick, you're rigging the system.
What?
Man.
No, it's so weird. It's so
your
weird.
finger was on the
two things
thing.
that haven't gone on sale yet. There we go.
Exactly.
All right.
Cycle them through.
All right. Awesome.
Thank you, community.
Thank you. All right. And just a reminder, all the fall and winter items. That's all the 2017 fall items. The turkey and the wreaths and all the Yule items. The wreaths and the garlands and the notes and all the gift box, all that stuff. That's all going away tonight at midnight. Also, all the recurring stuff is going to go away. Not come back till winter, including some stuff that's transitioning to recurring, including the White Raven and the White Squirrel and the Breathe Snow emote. So it's your last chance to get all those. And we're at 37,500, working our way to the Mardi Gras fountain. We've already gotten the Samba and the Mardi Gras garlands and the flambeau. That means everybody who spent $5 today is going to get all those items. So, and we have a little over an hour left to get up to 50K for the Mardi Gras fountain. We can do it. Maybe we can even get up to 65 for that.
65 is what they want,
feather outfit.
based on what I was watching.
All right, we want to get that feather outfit apparently. All right, so there's a few big topics we wanted to talk about today. One of the things we want to talk about is how much stuff is in the game versus store, because we often see people talking about, well, there's all these things you have in the store. Do I need to buy all these things to play the game? The answer is absolutely not. So I had B and Rick get some numbers for me just so we could do some comparisons, do some apples to oranges. Just for as example, like in release 50. B put over 30 recipes and patterns in the game, and we only added about 10 items to the store. Also, I had B pull then I had B sort of pull just the overall numbers of recipes in the game, deco and gear, to compare to the store. So the total number of recipes is over 1,000 recipes.
Over 1,000.
Yeah.
Certainly.
So there's over 1,000 recipes in the game. And just inside those recipes, over 400 of those are decorations. So 40% of the recipes are decorations in the game. And then there's 191 gear recipes. There's 115 gear patterns, 56 armor, 59 weapon. And then there's about 100 world deco items. These are items that you can go, like cups and saucers and chairs and just things in the world that you can go and grab. Which gives us a grand total of items in the game that you can use to decorate with. There are 821 items. Versus if you add up store deco items, there's about 400, and there's about 100 gear items. So all told, there's about 500 store items that you can use as deco. So there's almost double the number of items in the game that you can use as deco.
And also worth mentioning that any item in the store can be purchased in game for Kodos, and also as I'll show in a little while here, players buy and sell Kodos in game. So really, when you look at some of these things, you look at it $4 in the store, but really that's like 12,000 gold in game. You can buy Kodos from another player and then buy the object in game, even for the store items.
Yeah. Well, because one thing that's really different about our game that I think people forget is, I got it. The one thing that's different about our game than other games is that nothing is soul bound. So, when you buy, we have completely open trade between players. So when people buy things, they can trade them amongst each other. And so even though someone may buy something from the store, they can then sell it to another player for in-game gold. So I've been reminded now 5 or 6 times that there are some prizes to be given away. So, Mr. Lum, if you could give away some prizes.
We have quite a lot to give away. Hang on. We have quite a lot to give away, actually, so this will take a little bit.
Okay.
But the Baloney Pony 2017 Ornate Wool Garland 12-pack. Mad Dog 2017 Snowman Mask with Stovepipe Hat. Turin 2017 Cornucopia. Magnus Zarwadam, a heart tub. Solomon Majir, 10 Kodos. Gramps, winter pattern glass chandelier 3-pack. Merritt, a breath emote 6-pack. Peabody, a 2017 Yule Tree. Monkey Smack, an ornate tavern set. Scoffs, a bank upgrade. Armelion Visage, an ice building block 110-pack. That's a lot of ice. Caladorn Damar, a 2017 Snowman mask with Stovepipe Hat. Dark Blue Monkey, Ice Nightmare Mask. Umeri wins a White Squirrel. And finally, Lance wins 10 Kodos. And now I can breathe.
All right, congratulations, prize winners. All right, so I mean, all that's basically to show is there are tons of items in the game to make and find and sell and place and use, and we add new ones literally every month. I mean.
Sure, and everything a lot of it parallels what we add to the store. So at the time we add something to the store, usually there's a proxy that we add to the game. So it kind of synchronizes the same time as we add something to the store. I get the task to add it to the game. So those things sort of synchronize up that when we do add something to the store, the game also benefits too to having, a similar version, alternate version that fits in the game.
Yeah. Then we actually got a suggestion from one of our players to sort of give a market balance, the pork bellies report, because pork bellies is kind of a in the real world an economic indicator, and so I think Chris was pulling some data to look at how our exchange rates were doing between crowns and gold and other consumed items.
And so a lot of this data is actually available to players, as the gentleman who just won a white squirrel, congrats, Umari. I know he runs a website himself where he goes and analyzes this data. So that's something we've actually exposed to players because we wanted to make sure players could see how the market was working. We want them sanity checking us and stuff. So, but I did take some images just to kind of show off some of the metrics that we look at for things. Flip, we're not sure how these things are going to show up here. Let's see. So this is purchased from vendor list. So this is, most of these are last month, some are 2 weeks. I think this is the last month, in case people were wondering what they were taken from vendors, and I probably should have blown up the font a little more. I think this is the only one I probably didn't blow up the font on. You can see, just in case people were curious, the top selling item in the game is coal. I know, shocking. But cotton seeds, salt, wax, basically all the things that you would expect that are like used in fuel for the most popular crafting stuff. You can kind of see down the look there. There's also a number of other things. Some are expensive things, some are not. Decorations, player, vendor, free or with fee. I'm surprised there are actually 35 of those that sold average 20,000 gold piece. Actually made the top 25 list. Anyways, I'm sure people are going to be going back looking at screen grabs of that. You want to go to the next one? What is the next one? Oh, consumed items. Let's see. So this is what items were actually destroyed. So these are mostly consumable things. Obviously, the top things on there are reagents that people have used with magic. So this is the type of stuff that we can look at to see, are the spells balanced in terms of how the reagents are being used? Do we have the reagents priced right? It's also important for looking at what consumables people are using that we may need to take a look at and what they aren't using, which may also justify taking a look at them. As you can see, health potions, come up as top, and recall scrolls, focus potions, teleport to friends are popular. So a number of things, and actually I'm confused a little bit because there's raw material granite. We have something that uses granite as a
recipes use it.
And it takes a lot of granite to make like a wall or a house or things like that. So that's probably
It's kind of a decoration-specific material that you need massive amounts of.
massive
Mainly in
amounts.
smelting.
Yeah, I was just
difficult.
confused because I don't think this list, the consumed items, is supposed to be showing recipe consumption.
Yeah, I don't think it comes.
So I'm
from
not
that.
sure what is going on with that one. Because
Ah.
if you look around at all the other stuff, it's mostly,
Oh, that's
you know
weird.
what? That's probably if they salvage it, I bet it shows up on this. Because I also see weapon, two-handed staff, elven on
Why
here.
would
you
they
can't
be
salvage
showing
it, it's a raw
salvage
material.
granite?
I think here's just an important point that, we have a lot of assumptions about the way the data is supposed to turn out, but we have all this great data to double check it, and I think a lot of times, we think we know the way it's going to work, but here's where the rubber meets the road, like the real numbers behind stuff. So I think it's interesting when we come up with a thing like that we can sort of track it down, figure out is it in our tracking or is it in, the core system.
And it used to be when we had these charts originally, we'd look at it very often, and every single time I'd look at it, I would be surprised by something on it. I'm still surprised occasionally when I see things showing up on there. Anything that looks like an anomaly is something that we need to go take a look at. We also look at a lot of charts for things like, experience per zone and experience per player and per hour and all those type of things. We try to look for anomalies in those things, see what things we need. We'll hit the next one. I think there's a couple here that people will be interested in. All right, so this one's an obvious one. This is the last 30 days Kodo price. I mentioned earlier, Star was saying that we have way more items in game that can be crafted than bought in the store. But also, as I mentioned, the store is also in game that you can buy for Kodo. So this is players buying Kodos from other players, which makes it really easy. If you look at these, it's been trending upwards slightly, month over month, with some big surges coming in when we have a bunch of items put in the store because people spend a lot and it's all supply and demand. This is not anything that we set, just like all of this other stuff. This is stuff we track. We have ways we could manipulate it a little bit, but for the most part, this is players setting their own economy, which is exactly what we want. We want players to be working on the supply and demand, figuring out how to price things. That's part of the fun for a lot of the players. They're not all adventurers. A lot of people are pure full-time merchants, basically. Anyways, as you can see, roughly 3,300, 3,400 gold is kind of where things are right now. That's the moving average for the last month. A few spikes in there, but not too many. So that would mean if you want to buy a 5 Kodo thing, it costs you, roughly 17,000 gold. You can either go give us $5 or you can go buy 5 Kodos from another player for 17,000 gold. All right, you want to give me the next slide? I only have a couple more here. So this is one that we look at a lot that shows, that's up there, that shows the items gained by scene. So this is one we try to watch because this items gained. So I think this is actually items gained from crafting. Except I don't see why corpse wax would be on the top. I know scrap metal. Maybe this is actually the overall sum. And in the charts, these are all clear as to what they are, but I didn't label them before I came in here. But this is just showing in case you're wondering how much stuff goes through the economy and what the delta is on the economy. This is actually, it's kind of funny because corpse wax for years has been driving the #1 driving factor in the economy. People like killing undead and they're decent money items.
Well, in corpse wax, you need that for the health potion, right?
Yeah, you need it for a number of things.
Yeah, which is which is interesting because the loop there, right? It's like one of the #1 consumed items, which makes sense that it's also one of the #1 produced items too. So, and we just hit $40,000.
Woo woo!
All right,
10K to go to the mask.
Yep.
Did I have one more slide? I had one more. There's at least, okay, here's the one that a lot of people want to see. That I think this is the 2-week running average from vendor sales. So this is showing you the number of sales, average quantity, sum of quantity. Thank you. And average price. So you can see over the last couple weeks, Kodo sales, so roughly 12,800, almost 13,000 have changed hands, almost like 1,000 a day or so. And the average price on those was 3,300. So this is what I was saying. A lot of the stuff probably the majority of the stuff that gets purchased in game is with Kodos is from players who bought their Kodos with gold from another player. There's a lot of money that changes hand. This is one we expect to continue. This is the one that we track the most closely, is tracking that price. Because if there's a big fluctuation in that, we've got to figure things out. But also behind that, the things that are selling, I know this will shock no one. Gold ore, silver ore, catalyst, and teleport to friend scrolls, recall scrolls, iron ore, a lot of crafters out there. Mandrake root, as we saw, that was used. That's used in a number of ways because that's in recipes and reagents. So
it's used in enchanting, so.
Yeah, so people burn through that. He has in like 5 or something in enchanting.
Yeah.
So anyways, tons and tons of things, and of course the dragon stews, as I was complaining earlier, we probably need to nerf our food a little bit somehow just because it feels mandatory that you have food.
That's good.
I think the problem that we see is if you it's too easy to get your focus regen with it right now to a point where you don't even think about focus. But if you don't have them, it's really difficult. It's really challenging. We need to get that. I think we need to get that down a little bit. Yeah, that may just be that we need to just shorten a few of the durations, and if they're the big buffs that we may need to want. Take a peek at them.
Yeah. We hit 42.5. All right.
That's great.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, community. And while I'm writing that up, so we made a big change in 50. We removed proficiency, which is derived, and moved just to skill on crafting. And so, B, if you can talk about that, why we did that and what that means.
Yeah, one thing we did this release was me and Joaquin spent some time, going back on some bugs that we've been waiting on for a while, polished bugs, just trying to clean up, some of the UI, some of the skill UI, crafting UI. A lot of it was just trying to get some of the confusion out of there. We had a lot of stats in the crafting tree that I say weren't sort of self-evident. They were a derived number from your 1 to 200 skill that we use later on as kind of a power number in some of our calculations. Now, from a player's perspective, that number really didn't do anything to him. It was just one number turning into another number that then was used in the system. And so we looked at all the situations where skills were adding numbers that didn't have any context and just pushed those all into code because there was a number there that was just sort of causing confusion. And so we had these two different things. You had your skill level, which players were used to looking at, which is your kind of 1 to 200. But then there was the underneath number called proficiency that actually was the number we were using on modifiers for items, and also we were using for prereqs, and that was just hidden away from the players. And a lot of the solutions was to kind of show that number more prominently because that's what players were looking for. But the correct thing was just to sort of get rid of that number altogether because it wasn't necessarily anything that was useful to the players. So for all the base crafting skills, or many of them, and the salvage and repair skills, those had this sort of number in there. So we've removed all those numbers, and everything now is strictly on the 1 to 200 scale. So all of our prereqs, anything like that. So there's not two numbers to manage, and we're not effectively having this power number that confuses players or that they don't really know how it's applied. We don't sort of show that to them. So I think that is going to help a lot as far as us clearing up what these numbers actually mean and how we explain them to the players. So
cool. Another thing we want to talk about, you were mentioning when we were talking yesterday, is taxidermy, and discovery versus learn, and how that works and what that means.
Yeah, originally when we started looking at our trophies back a long time ago, we started adding on the carpentry when we only had, I think it was like the deer head and a couple fish recipes. And if you look at the distribution of recipes, some categories have tons of recipes while other ones don't. And originally the tanning table was kind of a tanning and dyeing and sort of taxidermy table. So we started moving some of our trophies over to that so that, we can extend tanning to have some more interesting recipes and kind of do this taxidermy thing. So we started to put ones on there. And part of the process is evolving the ones from the carpentry recipe, over to the taxidermy kind of tanning thing. And we're going to certainly do that since there still is the fish recipes that are behind. But at the time looking at that, it was, you can look at the way our mechanics work and the way we kind of design which recipes, and it can help define sort of the play style. So, in our recipes, we have this concept of a discoverable recipe and one that's non-discoverable. And if one isn't discoverable, then you need the recipe in order to craft it. Now, all recipes have a skill requirement, so you have to have a certain prereq to get to before you can properly craft it. But still, we have this discoverability versus not. Now, the great thing about a discoverable recipe is you just put the stuff on the table, and if you have the correct skill, then the button lights up and you craft it. And if you fail to craft it, you still learn the recipe. But the goal is to kind of almost have recipes like Minecraft where they were discoverable. And early on, all of our recipes were discoverable. That kind of created its own problem. But I think if you look at this go-between or this relationship between something that's discoverable and something that's not, you can help make these certain recipes more obvious to the player. So one thing that we've kind of struggled with, or at least in the recipes, is when we're adding more of these trophy heads, we kind of want to keep it a little bit hidden from the player. So whenever we do add like a torque doll or add some other creature, we want to be able to have a recipe for its head, but not necessarily have the overhead that players have to go find the recipe and learn it. So we've kind of done this thing to where the iconic recipes for each one of the trophy heads are going to be purchased in the store. So for example, your brown bear or like the wolf's head or some of the ones to get you started, but some of the ones to kind of teach you kind of what the recipe is. But as we start to get the variants of that, then we start to make those discoverable at the same skill level. So for example, the brown bear recipe takes a 40 skill to learn. You can buy this recipe to learn it. It kind of teaches you the format of it. But if you take that same recipe and instead of the brown bear head, you use the polar bear head, well, that's a discoverable recipe that then you can that you then have in your recipe book. So a lot of this is trying to figure out a way that moving forward with these trophies, we can add stuff to the game that doesn't necessarily doesn't pull it for the players. They don't see the recipe of this new boss show up in a merchant. It's just the fact that the recipe gets added. They kill the boss. They use the head. Then they can create the trophy. And a lot of this, as this release, we added our boar. It was kind of our first typical animal we've added in a while that made us go back and add. We need taming. Add this guy to taming. We need food recipes. We need the trophy head decoration recipe. And it's coming up to where there's this selection of crafting things between consumables and decorations and equipment that when you add a creature to the game, that there's all these assets that we create out of that. So we're getting that more formalized, and I'm excited in the future that as we add more of these creatures, this creature means that we add these things that add to different things in different parts of the game. It has a food recipe as well as a decoration as well as an equipable. And I know we've had some suggestions I think that are great as far as a bear rug or something or a cloak associated with that. So I think in the future we will have more of a larger variety of things associated with the animal and the animal variants. So then when we add those, there's all this content that goes with it. So I'm excited about the direction we've gone with taxidermy. I like it that it's on tanning, kind of give its own feel, and that we can add these trophy heads and find a way to add content to the game moving forward. It's not just about one specific task. It's about figuring out a way to add content that synchronizes with the player's play style and isn't heavy. So it's going to be fun to sort of get that stuff. We added some of that stuff this release with the boar heads, but we're kind of working on transitioning some of those over, but having a pretty good direction with taxidermy moving forward.
Yeah, and that ties actually into a question that Ormanger asked. It was, since we're getting the new wolves, bears, and boars, can we get the ability to skin hides and heads to craft like stuffed animals or rugs and cloaks and hangings? Absolutely. We actually already have the next in line to expand. Like right now, we just have the headdresses, which we used to call hats, but hats is a lame. That doesn't sound cool. Like I'm wearing my stag hat, so we upgraded the name. So we used to just have the trophies and the headdresses. So the next expansion to that thing is going to be rugs. So we're going to make your bearskin rug and think wolf skin rug and things like that. So that'll be the next expansion to taxidermy. But absolutely, we want to get in things like it would be cool to have like the stuffed bear like doing the thing, like standing up on its hind legs, like in your foyer and things like that. So
no longer with a pouch while it's standing.
It's not going to be the kangaroo bear.
You got the bear statues and stuff.
Yeah.
Similar.
So yeah, we're totally going to expand those things over time. Sorry, I interrupted you.
I was just gonna say that I really like having to be in these things because I just got to sit here and chat with people and have to say anything. He talked for like.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I'm excited about the taxidermy.
Yeah, well, and so one thing that B's been doing an awesome job, so we talk about our top 10 priorities, right, for how we focus on things, and one of our top 10 priorities has been to be continually adding to the loot to make sure that there's lots of cool stuff when you fight enemies that you find in the world. And so last release, so 2 releases ago, we added we started adding the barbarian clans, and they all have like a totem animal like dragon, wolf, bear, boar, etc., which then let us like, oh, we have a boar clan, but we don't have a boar, so we should totally add a boar. And so then this release, B added all their gear. So when you fight them, you have a chance to get their gear, and which in turn gets you the patterns for their gear that you can then apply to your stuff. And then we added the wild boar, which B talked about, which then sort of explodes out to all the different things you need for the boar, the trophies, the headdress, and then this coming release in R51 will make them tameable. And we're going to try, we'll see how we do with timing, but we're going to try and add boars to cooking. We'll see how that does. I'm notorious for, it's my fault, by the way, I'm notorious for cooking stuff down the road. So you can blame me, it's not B's fault, it's my fault. But we'll see, we might get a wild boar, or maybe even bacon, we'll see. And speaking of recipes, we continually add recipes to the world. We try to do a mix of adding recipes to merchants and regionalizing those too, right? So when we can, when I remember to, I try to note that in the release notes, but not always. But I try to get better about it. But we try to, when we add those recipes, not just add them to every single merchant in the world. Like you have to go to like the artist carpentry merchant.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point. Like I saw someone mention that it's hard for them to find recipes, and originally we had a situation where it was almost in a test environment where you had these 3 guys in Owl's Head that had every recipe in the game. Right?
Yeah, literally every.
And I know everyone's sad that doesn't exist anymore, but a lot of the stuff too, I say, it's not about solving one problem, it's about solving a problem that we have a system moving forward. So when we looked at the recipes, there's really kind of 2 categories of stuff. There's kind of the equipment, which has power associated with it and progression, and then there's the decorations. And really, there's certainly some decorations that you get the recipe through quests, but for a large portion of the decoration recipes, we don't necessarily want it to be a big quest to find those things. We want it to kind of be sure, you get access to it, but it's not necessarily a big challenge to get that. So what we did is we regionalized all the decoration recipes. So the decoration recipes are kind of in a separate category. So in every region, there's a decoration merchant, and that decoration merchant has unique decoration recipes for that region. Now there are some decorations you can buy in there, which were kind of our starter decorations in case someone had a house. But so every region, decoration merchants have different recipes. Now, when it comes over to the equipment, that stuff was kind of more associated with actual crafting discipline. So like your blacksmithing equipment recipes are, like your weapons and your armor. So those appear on the blacksmith. So the way it works is, we have our 5 kind of production skills, and that some of those are associated with refinement skills. So for example, smelting is associated with blacksmithing. So that's what we did is on blacksmithing merchants, they have all the equipment recipes and component recipes associated with smelting and blacksmithing. Same thing with carpentry. If you find a house where it says there's a carpenter, well then that guy has recipes associated with milling and carpentry. So we kind of took the equipable recipes, put those on the crafting merchants, took the decoration recipes, put those on the deco merchants, and we have some recipes that drop from creatures, but for the most part, a good 90% of the recipes are available somewhere on the merchant, and specifically all the decoration merchants are available on those guys. So you should be able to find those without too much looking around. There was a time where there was only a couple places and the distribution wasn't that great, but I feel pretty good about it right now and about us adding to it moving forward.
Yeah, and we try to reserve like the patterns and some of the more unique recipes for loot. So like for instance, the hollow log house recipe is going to go on a quest. You know, there's going to be a special enemy that's you have to get the hollow log house. You might be able to figure out by thinking about, well, where did I originally see the hollow log house?
Yeah, and I like that. I think moving forward, as we have content that we can put in the quest, then we're kind of doing more of that. You know, early on it was, well, we got to put stuff in the crafting system, and then now as we're getting the crafting system has enough in it, a lot of times we have something and we at least don't necessarily put it on a merchant, you know, or don't put it in the crafting system. We can put it as a quest reward, kind of like we're doing with virtue armors. But we can also do this to where, you know, most of the house recipes are on a decoration merchant, but this is a specific one that you're going to have to do a quest to get. So I'm excited about having more themed things like that synchronize up with the environment that we can have quest content.
Yep. And then the last couple of things. One of the things that you get out of loot are the rusty weapons, and up until now, those have been sharing identical art with weapons that you craft. And so this release, we're going to start updating the visuals so that they have unique visuals, either through a combination of a material pass, so they actually look rusty finally, or maybe even unique meshes on some of them. So they'll actually have a distinct shape, or at the very least have a unique material. The other thing that B and I have been working on, this was actually based on a player question that we got from a telethon, is like, we always get rusty weapons, but we never, what about rusty armor? And part of it was just we don't have the same sort of equivalent assets to use like we had for the weapons, but we're going to work on that. So Art's going to start creating, not in this release, but in next release, they're going to start creating visual variants of armor that we can start putting as loot for enemies. So in addition to getting rusty weapons, you'll be able to start getting rusty armor.
Yeah, it'll be fun to sort of, you know, up the sort of general loot you get from guys like that, so that we can have it to where mages drop cloth, and then archers have a chance to drop leather, and then, you know, your fighter classes drop chain or plate, and we can make it to where as the tiers go up, you have a greater chance of finding stuff that's more valuable. And so you can kind of transition out of the rusty stuff. The rusty weapons are really, you know, something we can put ubiquitously around the game, and it's kind of, you know, your tier 1 to 3, maybe 4 guys. And as you play the game, you know, as the tier goes up, the guys stop using rusty weapons and start using other things. So it really is about us trying to get some more interesting loot in those first couple tiers, so that players have more drops to find, certainly in the tutorial areas and the first sort of couple tiers of scenes.
Cool. And we'll do a couple of questions, and then we're gonna start our final just general Q&A. We'll get Lord British in here. So Bulgarian asked me, we have ornamental iron patio furniture, craftable and purchasable for. Cool. Yeah, that's a cool idea. We don't really have any like cast iron style furniture, and someone coming from Louisiana, which that is a very stereotypical thing that you see where I grew up. That is a great idea. So noted. And then Kron Caledon asks, when are the craftable versions of the kitchen items play settings coming? We actually had that originally scheduled for R50, as you note, but then I pushed it at the last minute. So we're still trying to get that in R51, but R51 is a short release, so it may go to 52, but we're hoping to get it in 51.
Yeah, it's a lot of items too. So
yeah, it's a lot.
It's a good chunk. That's been one of the delaying things was, you know, I looked at it and was like, oh, I can do this in 5 minutes, and then it's actually a lot of items, and we're trying to figure out how much of them mimic actual crafting tools, since they're similar visuals, and what is the use of them and things like that. So it's not too far off. It's definitely, you know, in the near future. It's just a lot of individual items. But
I want to mention one they mentioned in chat that I think would be cool.
Okay.
Which is a beehive, like a little bee farm, but it can have like little bee particle effects going on around it. That's a placeable deco that just agriculture system. So basically, once a day you can go and take honey out of it.
That's our animal husbandry system.
Yeah, that's going to be in our animal husbandry system. It's in Jira. It's in the backlog.
We've talked
absolutely.
about
Yeah. we actually want to do the same thing with like a chicken coop, right? So it's a placeable deco that generates eggs. You know, so yeah, cool. It's coming. Just not in the next month.
They of course went like 12 steps beyond that and all the way to the point of, and then honey can be given to your tamed bear to make it go berserk.
Oh yeah. Well, go berserk. Wouldn't he be happy?
Yeah.
They were also writing about, when you mentioned recipes for the boar getting pushed back, they were writing saying bacon, 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 bacon.
Everyone loves bacon.
And then they went on to say they needed microwavable pork rinds.
Oh yeah, well, with the Cobalt microwaves.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much, B.
Cheers, thank you.
And awesome. And now here we go. So we're at 42,500. All right. 3 clicks away from getting the 50,000 Mardi Gras mask fountain.
Let's marry.
We can do it. We have 35 minutes, and so what can we do to get people excited for 35 minutes?
Let's see.
We could do pure chaos. Do everything.
Okay. Well, I think only just because we got 35 minutes to make it to the 50 mark, it's worth it.
Okay.
Everything. That's
I
all
don't
right.
make too much noise. How about an everything sale?
We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. Everything's on sale simultaneously.
All right, everything is on sale. Give us a couple of minutes to actually
get it all queued up.
It takes a little bit, but we're gonna do everything on sale. All right. So as a reminder, folks, everything fall and winter is going away at midnight tonight. So if you like that little white squirrel or that little white raven, that's going to go away and not come back till the next winter. And all those 2017 items, those are going away, period, and not ever coming back. So that's like all the 2017 Yule items, the trees, the garlands, the wreaths, stockings, the gift boxes, the cards, the menorah, the ornate snow family, the snowman mask, the snow with the stovepipe hat, so all that stuff. And we've already gotten 3 of our stretch goals: the samba, the Mardi Gras garlands, and the flambeau. So we can do it. We can get to the fountain. We can get to the 50.
We can get it.
We can get it. We can do it. Come on.
Everything's on sale. We're within shooting distance. We can get
Everything's on sale.
All the things on the wheel, to be more specific.
Yeah, everything on the wheel. Not everything. Yes, thank you for that clarification.
Yes, indeed.
All right. So here's a question from Rada Torment. I want to ask you if there's a possibility that players who did not have the opportunity to buy a pledge that included physical goods like the box, the manual, was there any? And I'm super excited with the project, and I've been playing the game since 2014, but I would love to get a box. Any information is appreciated. Well, thank you for your support, and thanks for playing that long. Yes, we are definitely looking at a physical box retail version that we would distribute maybe directly through Amazon or something like that. So yes, stay tuned.
Being explored.
Being explored. So there will be some opportunity like that.
Limited edition?
To be determined.
To be determined. It would not be the same. Be clear, this would not be the same as the one that the backers got, but there would be some physical box that other other folks could purchase. So yes. All right. Did you have more show and tell?
I did. Before you get too much further, So as I was mentioning at the beginning of the telethon, Scott Jones was off doing high-res scans of all of the stuff he's now putting together for printing. That included, for example, this is the actual floor plan of my D&D campaign that was called Akalabeth, which is obviously the namesake of the first role-playing computer game with 3D, Akalabeth. But when we were pulling that out, we happened to just be discussing other kind of rarefied documents and things, which is where I pulled up those dice, the dice that I had made, including my handmade polyhedral dice. But I happened to find something else. So I was the local game master, and I would keep all the character sheets, including, along with all the dungeons and stuff that I was building, I would keep the character sheets of my own and the rest of my friends. And some of you may know the story about where I acquired the nickname British, which eventually became Lord British, which eventually became the authorship of the game, a pen name for the games. And let me just retell that briefly, which was I was at a summer program at the University of Oklahoma the summer of my sophomore year in high school. So this would be 1977. So this was the year the game Dungeons and Dragons was published. And the kids that arrived here for the 7 weeks of time alone without your parents in a co-ed environment, that was a bad idea for parents. The kids who were there ahead of me were going door to door giving everybody nicknames. And they came and knocked on my door. They said hello. They said hi. I said hello. And they went, hello. No one from around here says hello. You must be from Britain, so we'll call you British. And so and then I said, hey, I was born in Cambridge, England, so it sort of fits, even though I don't obviously have a British accent. But British became my first D&D character on playing my first, that same night was the first night that I ever played Dungeons and Dragons. And I actually have the original character sheet. This is the original character sheet of my first D&D character by the name of British, the lawful good, rolled up, all nice and fair D&D sheet from, and the copyright on the bottom of this piece of paper is 1977 TSR Hobbies. So, I mean, it's literally the original. And in that same pile, I happen to have all the other Lord British. These aren't even Lord British. These are all just British. This is before I had put Lord British as the king in the computer games. But here's British as he gets up to level 10. Here's British as he gets up to level 25. Here's British as he gets to level 27. And Scott Jones, if he's listening, will be laughing right about now. And those of you who get the printout of the Calibeth and Story of Mondain the Wizard documents will get a chuckle out of the fact that I wrote it, Lord British is a 26th level wizard, but then there's a hand scratch out where it says level 27, signed Richard Garriott, 1979. And because I thought it was so important that Lord British was known to be 27th level now, not 26th level. And so you'll see that manual scrawl in the materials you've got, but I actually have the character sheets to prove it. So here.
Didn't notice. What are you, a warrior, a wizard?
No, a lawful good magic user.
Lawful good magic user. Did you use the 3d6 method or 4d6?
3d6.
Take the best.
No, 3d6, okay. Which is why his strength was 12, wisdom 15, intelligence 15. But this was actually, it's interesting. These sheets. Oh, and by the way, we're going to put this first one, the very first one. We're going to try to stick it in the materials you guys get too. But this actually goes back to our design of even combat systems, where they have things like, what's the probability you'll get system shocked? Or they have death by poison special saving throws, poly 1 saving throws, spell staff saving throws, and petrification and breath weapon saving throws. And I'm going, those are so specific, and you bother putting them on the sheet, and you would never, ever, ever, ever use them. Literally never. And so these first early days were really what formed my minimalist opinion of there's no reason to fill out all this crap if it's not actually going to be used frequently. And thus our minimalist systems came into being. Anyway, I thought you might enjoy that.
All right. So let's see. Gonna just start grabbing questions. You can feel free to start grabbing questions too.
Let's see.
Yeah. So Belladonna Rose. If I chose not to redo the main quest when the game goes live, is there a way that the quest items can be unlocked out of my inventory? Lum actually took the time to answer this one, so I'm going to read his response. No, but they should take up no weight or space and can be filtered out. Since you choose to come back to do them, we have to keep them in your inventory.
There's one here. To Chris, with the changes to the stat buffs, having to choose strength, dex, and wouldn't it give an advantage to heavy armor versus light, because heavy armor has its own strength buff, 2 buffs. So for those who don't know, this is something that in continuing to try to make things less tedious and also reduce the number of buffs people have, it's being moved so you can only have one of the 3 stat buffs some of the time. And again, this is another one to try and make a choice. We hadn't done this before because strength was way too powerful, int was pretty powerful, and then dex was who cares. But as we've moved along, we've gotten closer, and also the combat math rewrite and other things have made dex more important recently. So now it's kind of like it is kind of a choice, and it's not just going to be everybody just does a strength buff. But it's also because when you have 3 stat buffs you can do, players felt like they had to do every stat buff. So basically they're doing 3 times the buffing rather than making a choice and picking one. So it is reducing everybody across the board a little bit, but making them make.
All right.
Anyways.
What are you giving a pin for?
$45,000.
All right. The stars at night are big and bright. Deep in the heart of Texas, we are are 2 clicks away. 2 clicks away.
We need more. Do we need more beads?
Oh, in Britannia? Oh yes, I'd like some beads. Thank you, sir.
Got a lot of beads around our neck.
All
We need
right,
more.
right.
We need more beads.
Need at least 2 more.
Thank you. These beads are for you. These beads are for you.
We need 2?
Community.
Oh no, I'm saying we need to get 2 more after this.
2 more beads.
All right.
2 more beads. 2 more beads.
All right.
2 more beads.
Okay, Elron, can we have commission-free vendors added to the crown vendors? That is a great idea. Thank you for the suggestion. That is just, I think that's just an omission. I'm not sure why they're not in there. Oh, you know why they're not in there is because right now they are only in bundles. So that's the reason they're not there, is because they are a bundle exclusive item, and so that is the reason they're not in crown vendors. So until we get the ability to sell bundles with crowns, which we want to get in there, so we want the ability to sell bundles through the crown vendors. So when that comes online, you'll be able to buy them crown vendors. But right now, those are exclusive to bundles.
I've got one here. Proteus Tempest asks, will the combat system ever include deaths involving arms, legs, and heads being severed, or special death effects caused by magic, like complete fire immolation to our opponents or exploding opponents?
What happened to the fancy deaths, Jira? That must be kicked down the road.
So we have done a much better job with our blood effects on things.
Yeah, well, that's new stuff. Yeah, it looks really.
But even that is one of those things that gets you a nasty rating in countries outside the U.S. and in the U.S. and some people like avoiding doing severed limbs and severed heads.
That's what the PG-13 flag's for.
Yeah, severed limbs and severed heads is one of those where it'll get you NC-17 type or 17 rating, adult rating in many countries.
I don't think it matters since we're not selling any storefronts.
Yeah, it doesn't. But yeah, mostly we aren't doing it because we'd have to do different effects for each and every creature, and we're just not that big of a team that it's a priority for us right now when we're trying to improve cooking.
Yeah, it's a content issue more than anything.
Yeah, I think there is a Jira in for it, by the way. It's just being kicked down the road as so many things.
Yeah, it's just the amount of work it would take to make it happen. It's just a content issue, really. All right, let's see. DJ Elaine, when will we see the marketing campaign become active? What can we expect to see? So we're doing some tests, some Facebook ad tests right now. You're probably not seeing it as an existing customer because they're very targeted. But right now we're holding off on doing major ones until we get a new website that we're working on up and live, and that's when we'll be turning it on, and that new website will go live with launch. So again, we don't really want to be doing any real marketing until we launch.
Until the game is ready.
That's the whole point of launching.
Yeah, we're
right?
not.
So that's the difference between what we're doing now versus launching. The whole point is we launch and then we start marketing. Marketing now and sending people to the game
before it's done
is the whole point of not doing that, right? So we're going to market once we launch and the game's done and ready. So
yeah, unlike the old days. In the old retail days, you would do pre-marketing because no one could go to the store and buy it. So it would build up anticipation and demand at the retail store. People would ask about it, and so the retail store would then set their pre-orders and determine a certain amount of shelf space. You actually had to market before launch but in this day of digital download, marketing before launch when it's available in early access is actually a bad thing. So wait 2 months.
Yeah. Antrax Artec, can we expect to see more content like Chillblade's Compendium and Boreas Colossus, i.e. progressive rooms, stages, dungeons with the big final challenge? Yeah, in fact, that's kind of what we're doing with Lost Veil. So, I mean, that's not what's happening with Lost Veil.
What? What's that?
No.
We even said
Is this some place I don't know about?
I mean, I didn't say anything.
I've got one here. Devourer of Memes. Will pugilism ever see any changes before release? Increased range, etc. So I added that skill just kind of as a joke a while back, and players actually really like it. It's super ineffective, but players still go around. It's actually something that I've heard people saying that it's one of the new challenges. It's not can you kill creature X, it's can you kill creature X with pugilism.
All right. So what are you gonna do?
I already increased the range for this release. It'll basically be the range of a standard sword. It honestly looks a little dumb because it's like you can hit like I'm punching Richard in the face. I'm punching Richard in the face. It's kind of the bad movie punches where it'll come up a little short, but it does increase the range. But do anything.
So
more
why
like
did you
change the
increase
animation.
that for? Because again, my instinct would have been to leave it a little shorter, so the person with the blade has an advantage.
Because it's really challenging
to stay that close.
Okay. It's real. It was really short. It was basically like you had to, as they were saying, it was kind of bad kung fu movie because you'd be sticking your hand through their chest. So better to have it a little further away, make a little more. And honestly, it's not very efficient, but yeah. And I think I actually have it as the range of a dagger, so a sword will still have a half meter still. And then
that would be good. As long as there's a little difference, that was what I was looking for. So, yeah, great. So in PvP, I still can keep you at bay.
All right, nutty players in PvP.
Falcon Rainfeather asks, why are there no bankers in any of the outskirts? The reason there are no bankers in the outskirts is because there's no housing in the outskirts. So what a player who, say, purchased a house or a bundle with a lot of housing and a lot of decorations could go and claim rewards at a bank and then have nowhere in that scene to place it in, but then all of their items are in this, they claimed them in this scene and then have nowhere to put them, and then now they're going to have to work on transferring all those items out of that scene to a different scene. So
that would be a hassle.
So that would be a hassle. So that's why there's no bankers in the
Dragon asks, is boss loot along with the regular mob loot going to get or see any improvement passes for release? The answer is they probably will see some minor tweaking. One thing that went in this release is actually there were some oversights obsidian golems, like one of the most common things in PvP zones and in a number of other zones. Basically had 0 treasure whatsoever, even though they're like immune to all magic and kind of bad. So those obsidian golems in R51 will see a big increase in the drop. What else you got?
You find while I try and strike these through, so we keep track of this.
Lie tiger. Anyways, will we be getting? Will we get grouping of groups? So basically, raids is what they want. You are going to get that. I'm not entirely sure it will make release. We had a couple different things that we had to pick between, which ones would be in before launch and which ones come shortly after launch. I think that one was one that was pushed to shortly after launch.
That's correct.
But
right after though.
Yeah, and I think some things like we moved up in priority to things like group loot.
Yeah.
Which is one of those things that's really important that we've been missing. So you can actually set roles, what your loot roles are for your party. So when you kill stuff, you can say anything over, 100 gold gets rolled on, anything under 100 gold is open loot.
But that actually does bring up a main thing that we ought to make sure we mention to folks, which is that when we go to launch, we are still going to be doing the same rhythm we are currently doing, which is monthly releases with the same maximum effort between releases to pile in more features, more recipes, more content, more maps, more everything, more monsters, and so we have schedules. I guess as you see once we see the very next quarterly release schedule, you'll see that the rhythm will just maintain itself, presumably forever. So fear not. Anything you think we're missing, it hasn't been forgotten. The Jira stack is still what it is.
Yeah.
We'll continue to evolve the game forever.
Team velocity will continue at the same rate. The thing that will probably slow down significantly after we get to launch is really big design changes, like some of the stuff I'm doing right now, which I'm doing
big overhauls
because we need to get them in before launch because we don't want to have that rapid of those massive changes after.
All right, we have 17 minutes. All right,
17 minutes.
$5,000 to get.
Come on, let's get there.
The Mardi Gras fountain.
The fountain.
We can do it. All right. Bob Derr asks, can we have our servants turn on and off the lights and torches on our lots, please? Yes. Once we get the thing we were describing earlier, which is as we were describing earlier, AI until now has been locked to the owners, basically whoever's placed it. So like your pet can't do anything unless you're there with them. So as soon as we break that chain, which is what we're working on this release, that's going to let us do some vendor polish to make vendors actually AI. That's going to unlock things like this. So your servants can do things like turn lights on and off, close shutters, and open shutters, and things like that. So we'll be able to do exactly that. So yes. And you're scanning while I'm doing this.
I'm scanning.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Looks like there's a question on something I mentioned earlier, which is changes to body slam, which, yes, so things that do knockdown and actually knockback are going to be getting changes, improvements, both to visuals and fixing a few bugs and also changing how they work. So knockdown, yes, you will be able to jump out of knockdown. It will be a little harder than jumping out of stun. The big difference that's going to be between knockdown and stun going forward, besides the visuals of it being knocked down, is when you knock someone down, they're going to be down for at least some amount of time, and during the time when they're down, they have a massive penalty. So basically, that's the big improvement of knockdown versus stun, is the guy who's knocked down is much easier to hit, much more likely to get crit chance, much more everything. So knockdown is still superior to stun. I will also be adjusting times on those things as well.
All right. Let's see. Dr. Face.
You just like saying his name.
I love Dr. Face's name. Dr. Face. Not Dr. Face. Dr. Face.
Exactly.
Not Dr. Face.
No.
It's Dr. Face.
Yeah.
Dr. Face.
Dr. Face.
No. Dr. Face.
Dr.
No, it's Dr.
No, I get it. Dr. Face.
Do you get it? All right. What? Oh, 47.5. Yes.
We're so close. We can make it. We got 15 minutes. We can make it.
We can do it. All right.
I'm not concerned.
All right. I'm not concerned either. All right, Dr. Face. Will there be further chances to purchase a heraldry? Yes. So the way it's going to work is right now we are just focused on providing the heraldry service to our backers, and that's how it's going to be through launch. Post-launch, we will have a way for other folks to participate in it. We will to be determined exactly how that works. But for now, it is only available to the people who pledge for it and exclusive to them. And the items that they are getting right now are going to be visually exclusive to them. So that's how it's going to work.
And just for those in case you're wondering how it works, the way system we settled on is the crest is attached to the item. It's not tied to the player. So for instance, if I'm a crafter, I can make a bunch of shields that have a particular crest on it. And then I can go and change what my crest is and do like a different set of shields if I want to. And also we have not nailed down the system for how we're going to let people change crests. Some of that depends on the final implementation, but you will be able to change
the crest. It wasn't clear to me what you just
point.
said there. In other words, if I make a crest if I make a shield with my crest on it, can I give you that shield?
You can give me that shield and it'll stay the same. And so this is one that we actually debated a lot because there's kind of reasons for both sides. If we make it so the crest is tied to me and then the shield knows who crafted it because it already knows who crafted it, then like I could make all the shields for my guild, and if we change our guild symbol or whatever, all the shields just automatically have.
Right.
One, that's not very realistic, but two, it also causes problems because like, okay, now I make shields and I put it on the vendor. Right. And the next time it is time and penis that somebody swapped out the pretty shield with the,
So we actually already know the policy. We just haven't released the policy of how it's going to be. But it's going to be similar to the way player-owned towns will work. Is you'll lock and submit your design, and if you want to change it, you'll have to unlock it through a service voucher.
And here's another question for you
to prevent people from constantly changing it.
So let's suppose
there'll be moderation involved. You can take your heraldry dagger, and it'll show. You can wear somebody else's.
Ooh, so that's a way to actually begin to spoof another team. Is go knock them off enough in battle to collect their pieces.
Yeah.
So you need to ransom you need to have a. So if Pax Lair has a coat of arms and people start defeating your guards, you need to make sure they ransom those items to make sure they don't. Yeah, exactly. Pay up now. Exactly. Get out credit cards now to ransom those back to Pax Lair to make sure nobody can spoof that they're you.
Not credit cards. Ransom is done with in-game gold.
He just got out his credit card. Yeah.
I know, but don't confuse the audience,
know,
please. It's in-game gold.
Sorry, I cannot accept your credit card.
Ransom is not paid with
gold.
We don't, please.
And for those who are watching this now, I just want to remind you, it wasn't 6 months ago or so that we would still drink during these things, and you can imagine how those all went.
Yeah.
This is us all sober.
Crazy pits that we got into.
Smoker KGP, can you please add the recipes to the purchase order list on player vendors? Yes, I don't know why. That seems like an oversight, but we should totally fix that. And then another suggestion from Smoker KGB, can you allow us to teach recipes by creating the recipe from our book for sale on player vendors? That's actually a really cool idea. Like you can make like a scroll or something like that.
Make a recipe scroll. So
yeah, that's a cool idea.
I agree. Put a JIRA on that.
Probably not for launch, but shortly thereafter in one of the monthly updates. That's a cool idea. All right, scanning.
Can we get potions to be placeable decos? Good for stocking shops with decos representing what vendors sell.
Yeah, except we don't have a 3D asset for potions. Yeah. So yeah, it's a cool idea, except there literally is no 3D asset for potions. Potions are literally just an icon.
Pretty sure we can make.
Yeah,
we could make one.
That's probably there are some artists in here with slightly more skill than me that could. In fact, every artist in here has a lot more skill than me, so be careful how I say that too. But I'm sure every artist in here could make that no problem.
We saw your art. That's great.
Well, the art isn't the problem. It's the data hookups to the gazillion different types of potions, and then having.
And
it's not
that guy who's in here talking a lot, Beezus, is really busy with everything.
That would be an insane amount of work.
You want your potions or do you want your bear rugs?
I would say bear rugs. All. Yeah. All right, Proteus Tempest. This is a good one. Where do all the watchers get manufactured?
In the Kobold factory.
Where's the Kobold factory?
Well, there's one of them over on that island in the bay, Bloody Bay.
Oh yeah, Crawl.
You thought you had us.
But I've never seen the Watcher factory inside Crawl.
Well, there's parts and pieces of it down there.
Oh, really? Oh,
there's some secret chambers I haven't found yet.
Oh, secret chambers I haven't found yet.
Obviously, I haven't found it yet.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
But also don't forget the Oracle. You haven't seen the chambers below the Oracle either, have you, yet? I'll bet none of you have found that area yet.
Chambers beneath the Oracle. What?
What?
No, I've never. Whoa. All right. Seamus McGinnis, once we make it past market launch and things have settled down, are we going to see more developers in-game hanging out, playing the game, and creating unique interactions with players beyond just the release parties?
Well, I think that my guess is you'll see us in with a similar frequency. The question is what do we do with that frequency? I mean, I think it's reasonable to expect us to be on the frequency of we're going to still celebrate launches every month. And if we want to spend that time in dance parties versus spend that time in, adventure segments, that's all fine. But I think that the rhythm of these things, rhythm of telethons, the rhythm of being in game, those will be similar. We can obviously add to a little bit on some and take off a little bit on others. But I think we want to, keep most of the team focused on getting the next set of features out. Because when you say things settle down,
that's the part.
That's the part that doesn't really compute. Is there is no such thing as things settle down. Classically, launch for anything that has an online component launches the day it gets much worse, not the day it settles. It doesn't really settle down, quote, soon after.
Yeah, and when I said we would maintain our velocity post-launch, really what that means is the month or 2 or 3 or 4 months after we launch and things calm down, we'll get back into it.
Yeah.
But we've got to get ready for the storm coming.
All right. Let's see.
Question on housing deco lockdown numbers be increased. That's basically the same
answer.
Imagine
that, a question about that.
I think I answer this every time. Yes, we will absolutely increase it
when
we get performance up.
But by the way, I think that poor performance must be a lot of. I mean, I think people should not be under the illusion that if we actually get the frame rate, if we have to get the frame rate past where we need it to be before you can increase deco limits.
So for those who don't know, there's some critical bugs in the next 2 versions of Unities that are blocking us from moving up, and we need some features in there. We basically had the graphics optimization side of things on hold until we can get moved up. But they just came out with the release for their beta version that fixes the critical bug that we submitted. So we should, hopefully the next version of their normal one will be one that we can actually move to, and then we can get some good graphics performance improvement. Long overdue.
Do you think it'll be like 10% on the GPU, but more?
We will see. We will be able to adjust things and know how to adjust things. The things we've been doing the last couple releases continue to be CPU side primarily and mostly focused on reducing load with lots of player in the game. So if people were at that dance party, I was actually at the dance party in the same map on the other side of the map, and I was playing at 35, 40 frames a second on a weak video card and modest. And then people at the party, I think that was the first dance party with like 70 people and pets and people doing stupid effects and casting meteor storms and everything else indoors, of course. And the frame rate was still playable for the first.
Great.
So, but anyways, but the next thing is we've got to get the graphics performance up, and then we can improve the number of decos.
All right, so we have 5 minutes left. We have our last round of prizes.
And we are so close.
Yes, Mr. Lum, maybe while you're giving out prizes, we can hit our stretch goal.
Okay, so we have a hot heart tub going to Lazarus Long. I'm sure in Obsidian Obelisk going to Gilwyn. A hollow log 2-story village house going to Kazushi. And a watermill village house going to Dargalin. And that's your prizes for the evening.
Nice prizes, nice prizes, nice prizes.
Congratulations, all of the prize winners. And we are very, I mean, we're literally
so
dollars
close.
away.
Dollars away. Come on, just a couple more of you that haven't pledged tonight. Put in $5. Get all this stuff. Get the Samba, the Mardi Gras garlands, the Flambeau 2-handed torch. And if we make it just a few dollars more, you'll also get the Mardi Gras mask fountain. Be very cool.
It will be very cool. All right, so one last question, and then we will start sign-off stuff. Dorquard asks, will we get lizard men enemies? Well, the kobolds are lizard men.
Look carefully.
So if you have not encountered kobolds yet, they are lizard people. Unlike kobolds in other games who are more rat-like people, our kobolds are lizards.
Indeed they are.
So you already have them. Congratulations! Your wish is granted.
And we did it! Congratulations to you! Thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right, we have 3 minutes to hit $65,000.
We're
at 15,000.
No, but really, thank you all so much. 50 is great.
Yes, awesome.
50 is phenomenal. But if any of you that really want to get these prizes, Nevin, $5 is all it takes to get in and get the rest of these prizes. Get these, the Samba, the Mardi Gras garlands, the Flambeau 2-handed torch, and the Mardi Gras mask fountain could all be yours for $5 if you haven't been on already tonight.
Yeah, and actually you have until midnight to
buy in.
Yeah, we stopped doing tracking for the stretch goal in 3 minutes, but you have until midnight to be eligible for the stretch goals. So
call your friends who didn't get them yet. Tell them to come on in, and water's fine, and they get some free stuff, not free, but cheap stuff.
All right. So let's start our ending announcements. Chris, I see you've donned your mask. You get to start.
And the players will get to don one of these masks too. Well, if they put in $5. I just want to thank everybody. This has been an amazing release, and it feels like a release where a lot of the pressure, people are finally, there've been so many releases where people were saying, there's no way you're going to get it done in time, and some of those same people have come back and said, okay, I can see you're going to get it done in time. It's been an amazing release in terms of just the improvements that have gone in, how much stuff has gotten done, bugs squashed. Somehow, One and Only normally has like triple-digit bug counts, and he was out of bugs pretty early on in this release. So Many of those got pushed. But anyways, but much better. So many things being fixed, so much better. I just want to thank everybody for all the constructive feedback and for taking part in the game. And I also love seeing some of these players' names I haven't seen in a while come back in and taking part. So thanks to everybody. Looking forward to launching this game. I'm trying to, I guess I don't have to stall anymore. We have to.
Yeah. All right.
That's it. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. And so I just want to say congratulations to everyone, all the prize winners. Congratulations to the Facebook contest winners, and good luck to everyone who's entering the trophy contest, because now you get to hunt the wild boars, you get to hunt the polished wolves, and the contest is going to run long enough so that you're going to be able to add the new bears that are coming in. The bears.
The bears.
The bears. So good luck on that contest, and awesome job, everyone, that we got the stretch goals, we got the samba, the Mardi Gras garlands, the flambeau, the Mardi Gras fountain. So congratulations for us getting that far. And reminder, you have till midnight to get the expiring items. So that's all the fall and winter items, and those items that are transitioning over to recurring that'll be gone until next winter. And I want to thank everyone for their incredible support that you've shown us for these past 4 years, and your financial backing, the feedback, all the testing you've done. You made all this possible. Like, every time you play the game, I want you to just like take a moment, look around you. You know, look at the sword you're holding in your hand. Look at the armor you're wearing. Look at the monster you're fighting. Look at the house you're standing in. You made that happen. Like, literally, like, that's
literally
everything you see around you in the game. You made that happen through your support, and so thank yourself when you do that. Everything, and it's these telethons, it's our website, all that makes this possible. And thank you for your patience. Thank you through this whole process. We're almost there. Like, we are like less than 60 days away from it happening, and it's going to be awesome. And you can really feel it. Like 50, you can feel it. This is going to be an amazing experience. And 51 is right around the corner. Join us for release 51 on the 22nd. It's going to have more cool stuff: new user polish, more performance work, the final pieces of the virtue armor, the new harvestable trees. Rest in
more
peace,
traps.
Rest in peace, old tree.
Taming changes.
Speaking of that, the boars are going to be tameable. So everyone who's been waiting around to have your own Hakuna Matata moments, it's going to happen. And oh my God, I saw the dance.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too.
I saw the dance for the wild boar. Oh my God, it's hilarious. We're going to get sued by Disney. Heraldry. Heraldry is going to be awesome. Vendor polish. Oh, I just made a post in Dev Plus. The vendor polish is going to be so amazing. And more physical good world. And of course, I'm going to be DJing another dance party. I'm addicted to being a DJ. And this time it's going to be on my airship, the Queen of Chaos, which currently is parked over in Rift's End. And for our final words,
well, by the way, very good, great words, well spoken, sir. I double down on everything he said. The only things I'll add, just to make sure they were said tonight, is we've internally been talking about, but I don't know if you talked about the fact that, you know, as we're getting close to the end here, there are things that we're excited about seeing. One is, you know, I do every time I go to a dance party, every time I do anything else, I always look for people I haven't known yet, and I make friends with anybody that I can. And the rate of new people that I'm finding at these events has been going up. And a lot of those people are either new people or people that have been offline for a while are coming back. That same data is evident in the concurrencies that we see. The month-on-month number of players that we're seeing has also been on the upswing these last few releases. And so I think that, you know, the mood is really, the momentum and mood is really building very positively. And so that's also, again, thanks to you. Thank you for, you know, getting on top of, you know, telling your friends to come back in and check it out now. And obviously, in just 60 days or so, we're going to try to make a lot of noise, at which point in time we'll hopefully all be celebrating together, and we'll be looking to you to help us make a lot of noise on that day, 60 days from now as well. And if you can, come join us. So if you haven't already applied, send us if you can come to Austin during the launch event, by all means, send an application. We'd love to have as many of you down here as we could. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey.
Bye.